All right, we're live. Give people a couple minutes here to tune in. We are live. Happy Thursday to everybody. Everybody's having a good day today. So, what is going on? It's gonna be hot out this weekend, boy. Jeez, in the 90s. One day we go to 60, the next day we go to 90. So, welcome to Ohio. So, welcome to Ohio. But yeah, man. Let's see, give people about another minute or two. I don't know. I might just start going whenever I want. But anyways, welcome to the Real with Joseph Lamtman. I am Joseph Lamtman, and got a pretty cool show planned for you guys today. I saw this video earlier this morning, and I can be honest with you, I kind of went digging for this sermon because this is a topic that I've been thinking about for a long time. It's something that's been on my mind for a while. And it's talking about mourning souls. And what the topic really is referring to is what I'm really hitting on is, I see a lot of people nowadays with a lot of anger, a lot of just guilt, a lot of things, and they're taking it out on other people. And what it's doing in turn is it's really separating a lot of people. You look at our society as a whole, we're not really together. We're the most divided we've probably ever been uh, in all facets. And so, I tend to look towards the root cause of things to address things. I think a lot of people are looking to worldly things and just kind of outer resources to heal themselves. And I think some of that can help, but I think a lot of these things need to be looked inward and kind of a self evaluation for everybody. And, it includes me as well. And so, Tony Evans, who is obviously a pastor I've referenced to a lot on this show, and my favorite pastor right now, and I think Tony's really just hitting on a lot of things that are going on currently. And so there's this video, a sermon. It's a 12-minute, or I'm going to share about 12 minutes and 30 seconds of it. You can find it on Tony Evans' page. Let me pull it up here. So, again, our own words can make us miserable. A Tony Evans sermon clip. And you can find this at Tony Evans' YouTube page. This is where this video was found. Fair use, just for YouTube, fair use. And so let's get right to it. I'm going to play this video to about, I have some points marked down, then I might stop, make a couple points. But like I said, I want to play this video. This will kind of kick off the conversation today. Mike Antonace is backstage. He'll be joining us here shortly. And so, yeah, man. So I'm going to play this video and see what we know you guys think.
Let's go.
Now, notice what he said there, unforgiveness. And that's kind of a lot of what I've been talking about with people is I see a lot of people who, and I was like this for a while. I was bitter about my past. And it still takes time to, it doesn't just happen overnight. You forget about things. But, for example, somebody has something traumatic happen to them. Maybe somebody hurt their feelings really bad or did something physically or verbally to them. And for a long time, they carry around that unforgiveness, and that starts to build up inside of them. When, like Tony said, basically we say we're commanded to forgive, just like the verse says, just as Christ forgave us. And Christ forgave everybody, murderers. I mean, you name it, he forgave everybody. And so when you carry this unforgiveness around, it starts to build up inside of you. What happens is it starts to really eat at you, and you start to become very irritated, very angry. And then what happens is you start to affect it on other people. And so let's keep going here with what Tony keeps, he'll get more into this. And so again, you can see what Tony was saying in hurting others, how your words hurt others. And I like how he takes it a step further, says with the intent and the goal to hurt others. It's not something for laughter or, just for fun. And I think what he said is basically a reflection of a lot of people right now. If you look out in our world right now, in our climate, politically, or really mainly politically, driving a lot of it, there's just so many people that are so uncertain about a lot of things. I believe they don't really truly believe what they say they do, and so in turn they go out and they start to uh, that uncertainty, that I think the anxiousness, and it causes a lot of more anxiety, really, which is what we talk about a lot. But I think in turn, a lot of these people now they truly start to just they don't believe what they really say they do, but they stick with it because the world says it's popular to believe this or to act like this, and that's basically what I'm getting at is worldly beliefs and what the a lot of time corporate media tells you what to believe, social media, and so people will go out and they'll hurt other people now, basically verbally, and we've even seen it physically, unfortunately, in some incidents where if you don't agree with me, or you don't believe what I believe, or if I don't, you know, like who you are or what you stand for, uh, then I'm gonna take my anger out on you. And a lot of times, this is the root of this stems from a lot of hurt from the past. Maybe people hate a certain group of people because, let's say, for instance, a Christian. I'm a Christian. Mike, who's gonna be joining us, he's a Christian. You know, I know a lot of people who maybe at some point in their life were around a Christian or a group of Christians. As Mike will explain, he was around a church. He explained it in his interview we did about a week ago or so. And for a while, you start to generalize that whole group of people, and you hate everybody who says they're a Christian, right? And so that's kind of a lot of what we see nowadays. I think, you know, like I said, a lot of what Tony's talking about. Where's the root cause of this? Where does a lot of this start? So let's keep going. We're halfway there. So you see what he said there. We seek to hurt with our language. That's pretty much what I was just hit on. And so, uh, yeah, I mean, I think Tony's really just nailing it right here. We seek to hurt with our language, and you know that what I mean. I can't say enough. I think this just really speaks to a lot of what we're seeing nowadays. So I'm just gonna keep it going. I'm not gonna say anything. Now I want to stop right there and make a great point. How he says it. A lot of times it comes back on you, and I would say it turn a lot of times people. I think I see a lot of people nowadays that act like they stand for one thing 1 minute, but in reality they're really just covering up a lot of the things they do. And so, and I think it kind of a lot of times it's how it comes back around to people. Maybe they did something in the past they feel guilty about, or uh, and so in turn they'll act like they really care about a lot of things. And I hear people all the time, well, we have all these things going on in our world today, and it's a shame that people do this, do that. We need to do this better, and we all need to come together. And there's just so many just problems going on in our world. And then, okay, and you ask them, okay, what are we going to do about it? And they don't they don't have an answer for you. Or when it's time to when it's time to show up and do things, these people are MIA. And so I think a lot of people are really hiding behind labels nowadays. I think a lot of people are hiding behind social media and trying to seek the approval of others. And I think a lot of times they're just trying to hide things that really they did in the past and they're guilty about, and they don't want other people to call them out on it now. So let's continue with this. We're almost done here. Man, I think Tony really, again, hit it out of the park there at the end. And yeah, I love the point that he made about having a grieving Holy Spirit, having the Holy Spirit inside of you grieving, and how talk about the end. You made a point about relationships, your relationship with somebody or your partner with somebody that's like that. It can really hinder people from growing, hinder that relationship from growing. I think that's why a lot of relationships fall apart, because one person's not really they got that, kind of just mourning inside of them, which turns into a lot of hatred and just self-hatred and guilt, and then they start to cast out on the other person. And a lot of times people just get sick of it. And I think that's happened a lot of times nowadays. You carry around that grief. I think a lot of people tend to shy away from those kind of people. I know I have. There's people that, and I've been around in real life that, you could just see the anger pouring out of them, the grief and just the misery and just the guilt. And, they're just, you don't want to be around because it's just a negative energy. It kind of hinders you and it kind of holds you back. And a lot of times, like I said, they'll start to hate who you are because they don't feel comfortable with who they are. Therefore, they see something. If you're somebody like myself or Mike, who, we don't really care what anybody thinks. We are who we are. We believe what we believe, and we stick to what we believe and our core values. And either you like it or love it, leave it or love it. So, but we're not going to change who we are for the approval for others. I know I won't. I'm pretty sure, like I said, Mike, who's about to come up, I'm sure he won't either. We're not. I'm not going to. I don't care what people think about me, based on what I believe. And so, but a lot of people do. And if you don't believe, like I was saying, I'm kind of mumbling my statement here, but if somebody doesn't believe what I believe, I don't go out and take my hatred on that person. I don't hate that person. I don't isolate that person out. And so I think a lot of this kind of goes together in terms of the root cause starting internally and why, like I said, you see a lot of this hate, anger, and divide nowadays. And so I've said a mouthful a little bit. Tony really took it and hit it out of the park for me. I don't know what I'm saying today, guys. But anyways, joining me now is my man Mike. So Mike, I said a mouthful. There's just a lot on my mind. I'm trying to get it, and so I'm trying to say it all. But you and I talked before the show. You watched the video, and I guess kind of what's your take on it?
I think it's such an important message. And he's actually going through, he didn't actually mention it in the sermon. He's actually reading through, to be specific for anyone who wants to know, is Ephesians chapter 4. And Ephesians is one of my favorite books in the Bible. So Paul is in prison. He's writing a letter to the church in Ephesus, which, if I'm not mistaken, is in ancient Turkey. And he's writing a letter, and essentially these are all new Christians. And so it's a very, very good book for all of us to read because he's essentially like laying out what it means to be a Christian. And even though, modern day Christians have had the good book for over a millennia now, we still need Ephesians to teach us how to be, a better, more spiritual Christian, even today. And chapter 4, he really, really nails into it because, when we become saved, when we receive the Holy Spirit, which is that miracle from Christ that he gave us, we receive basically God into our lives to have a personal relationship with us. In the modern day, it's really become kind of difficult not to grieve him just because of everything you get exposed to as a modern day Christian or as a modern day person. It's really easy to wake up and find something to get mad at nowadays. That's what really kind of hung up on me especially when it's talk about wrath. And even though I don't think he went over it in his actual teaching, in chapter 4, right before that, he talks about verse 24 through 27, I believe it says, put on your new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, which is probably one of the most classic Bible verses. And it's almost become like a saying, like more than a Bible verse now, like the whole, don't let the sun go down on your anger. And because not only is that, bad for your mental, this grieves the Holy Spirit and, will just make you miserable. Like being angry at things really can make you miserable. And I found myself even going into this little bit of a circle recently because of, whether it be the state of the world, our country, the economy, normal adult things things to like actually be worried and upset about, angry about. It's easy for me to like look at a politician or a dictator across the sea and be like, man, what a terrible person. I wish this would happen to them, or this, that, and the other. Like curse them, wish ruin upon them.
And that's I think you see a lot of that now. Is like I was saying. I mean, politically, we're divided. I mean, it's crazy what the last 2 years with all these issues, either with COVID or the race relations going on, just a lot of things happening, and it's just crazy how divided people really become. But even amongst your own family, even your own friends, people you grew up with, people that you love and maybe loved. And it's crazy to say that now because a lot of people now really don't love each other anymore because of these things. It's a real hatred towards each other because you don't agree with how I agree with. Therefore, I have to isolate you out. And you've seen it on the mainstream corporate media, and where they literally tell people like, hey, you need to isolate this person out. You can't talk to these people anymore. These people are bad.
Don't open a dialogue with them.
And it's kind of like a cult-like thinking we're seeing nowadays.
Almost. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, hey, check your values at the door. Okay, we're gonna need you to put those away. Don't question what we say. Do and say what you're told. And to me, it's just crazy. It's nuts. And so I guess kind of what do you see from that standpoint? Just this is a divide going
on. With the divide, especially with, I mean, if you want to just point at media in general, because I'd say that's like the great divider right now. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of always been that way. Luckily, I think more and more Americans are kind of like steering towards like, I think Fox News and CNN both had like the lowest approval ratings of the past 30 years this past year. Yeah. So that's probably a good thing, right?
They're trending away from the corporate media almost.
Right. Yeah. They're starting to realize, okay, this is just, you know exactly what you're going to get. Yeah. Right. When you buy Raisin Bran, you're going to get Raisin Bran.
Or you get Raisin Bran. Right. Exactly.
You're not going to get there's no honeycomb in there. Man, I love honeycomb. That's great cereal. It's a small tangent.
I like the honeycomb granola. You ever had that?
Like, is it like the cereal granola or what?
They take the cereal and they put it in the granola, and you buy it in a big bag. I throw that on the non-fat Greek yogurt. Nice little snack.
Oh man, I've never had that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the honeycomb, you remember the like crack addict kind of like mascot it had back in the early 2000s? I thought that was a fever dream until I watched the commercial again. I'm like, man, I forgot about that thing. Why did that make me want to buy cereal?
Well, they made it look like crack, as it tasted like crack too. So I mean,
I
not too far from the tree.
Of that thing.
Yeah, but back to what I was about to say is.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I know for myself, especially COVID, really made me start to do a lot of more independent research and really make my own opinion on things. I grew up in a home where my mom and dad showed me the Lord. I had my core values, and they kind of allowed the scriptures to, teach me the ways to view the world and what to believe, what to follow, what not to follow. And so, but I feel like COVID really unlocked my mind to really question a lot of things. And I think that's something a lot of people are afraid to do. Is kind of what I'm saying is why do you think people are so afraid to question things that maybe are mainstream, or why do people ever question these mainstream outlets, these social media companies? Do people question anything?
Well, I think it all comes down to people are afraid of two things. I think one, they're afraid of being wrong. Mm-hmm. And two, I think they're afraid of actually accepting like, hey, these people are lying about, maybe it's COVID, maybe it's not, maybe they're lying about like some, political scandal, or, they're just lying about a story. If they're lying about that, what else are they lying about? Right. Mm-hmm. Like if they can lie about X, what's saying they won't lie about Z, Mm-hmm. So I think it's also, and it just really has to do with people don't want to be wrong anymore. Like even now, like arguments, have come down to like, I'll throw my viewpoints on you and you'll throw your viewpoints on me. And then like, we'll have no actual dialogue. And that's it. Like, I'll just yell at you for a source a bunch.
It's just all it is, the ego thing.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because here's the thing, like whether my political views, I know don't align for a while, my current political views weren't what they were. And me and your dad would have great conversation, and we probably didn't see eye to eye on some stuff. And that's the way it really should be, because here's the thing,
good dialogue.
Nobody in America, open dialogue. In America, nobody's like red or blue. Like, that's so silly, right? Like, nobody can be 100% either way. I'm not saying some people aren't. Like, I'm sure there are. But, like, everybody has got to have some middling, right? Like, there might be something that you're like, oh, well, maybe, I can see their point on that. But I see
not everything that one side does is completely true, if you really look at the things. But, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're the politicians,
Right.
But yeah, it's. I think it's really they're just afraid about being wrong, and also like these media companies. I mean, they're multi-billion-dollar corporations that are owned by, if you look up like the ownership trees, have you ever looked into those, like the corporate ownership trees, like how every corporation's more or less connected with each other through like mergers and stock buying and like all that crazy stuff.
The same group of people too, a certain group of people.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the same group of people own all the major media corporations, which
and these tells people control a lot more than the media too. They control a lot, and people
really. Yeah, not just media, but Pepsi, man. I'm so upset about that. I was like, man, I really like Pepsi, but yeah, no, I think that's the big reason why they don't want to like question media or anything like that. And it's hard today for people that are Christian. It's hard today for people that aren't. We're talking about what Tony Evans was touching on, grieving the Holy Spirit. Like, you could be miserable by, not having a good connection with God. And I've been there. I used to call it like my tether. Like, I would feel like I was an astronaut and I was tethered to the space station. The space station was God. And when I didn't have a strong enough connection with God through the Holy Spirit, my tether was broken. I was just all floating in space. You know what I mean? Lost. And, we're lucky that, God lets us come back to him, especially when we're saved whenever we want. We just pray, we can read the Bible, get back into it, ask for forgiveness again, and, get that relationship.
And you got to start from within.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was going to say, not to cut you off, but I mean, you've been there. I've been there. I know when all this started happening to me 7 years ago with my panic anxiety disorder, I just came out of something that lasted for about a whole summer. I went through something pretty traumatic for me. And I was angry at a lot of people for a long time, because I feel like a lot of people let me down. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't listen to what I was saying because I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was only 15. When you're 15, you don't know anything really. I mean, you're just. I'm 22. And I'm still learning. I don't know much, but you know what I mean. At 15, you really.
I'm 26. I don't know a lot.
Right. At 15, you really don't know a hell lot of nothing. And so, but at that time, I was angry at a lot of people for a while, and I was angry at a place. I was angry at everybody involved with that place. I just want to be done with everything, and that anger carried into more anxiety for myself, more not much inner peace at all, and just you start to believe and you start to create these movies and illusions in your head. And a lot of times you listen to certain music, you watch certain things, it feeds into that. It's emotion, and you really get to a down, dark, depressed place, and you really start to you isolate yourself. You isolate yourself. You don't talk to certain people anymore. You just, like you said, you become kind of like this, or what Tony was saying, kind of like this, just angry, bitter, just bad energy person. And so a lot of times, it's funny. What I'm saying is, it's funny how a lot of this is connected. We talk about anxiety, we talk about depression on this show, we talk about other things spiritually or politically. And just how connected everything is.
Oh yeah,
but it always starts from within.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you take care of, you know, it goes back to even like it in the Bible. It even says like keep a good attitude. You know, that'll help the Holy Spirit. Just keeping a good attitude. You know, God likes to see us happy. Who would have known? You know, he doesn't want us walking around like a bunch of miserable dregs every day. You know, so it really all comes down to that. It really all is connected. Like, you know, God gave us the framework forever ago, legitimately, to like live our daily lives today. And while, you know, maybe it's not as, you know, easy to maintain a good mindscape as it was in the ancient world, because, you know, in the ancient world, they didn't have technology to, you know, influence you on the daily. You know, they might have had a town crier, you know, telling you, you know, oh, the Azarians are invading. That might have made you upset, but something along those lines. But yeah, no, it is really all connected. And keeping up with your spiritual health really does help with your mental and even physical, because you know, if your spiritual health is good, your mental health is good, you'll want to go do physical things. You know, you want to go outside, take a hike, or go biking. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not good at biking. I've never liked biking, but I do.
I
like
bike every day.
Do you? Good for you, man. That's so good.
Dude, I biked. Gosh, I started about 5 years ago. I think I'm over about 20,000 miles. I put on this bike.
Oh wow!
It's also, yeah, I bike like crazy, but I mean,
that's good.
But I like biking. I endorse biking. So.
Yeah, you endorse it. I'm a big hiker, and luckily where we live around, we live next to one of the most beautiful national parks in the country. If you ask me, Cuyahoga Valley National Park is awesome.
So convenient too.
Oh yeah, it's right there, there. You see that Sir Yacht YouTuber who he was like, I'll bike the entire state of Ohio if I get it was only 1,000 likes or something like that. I can't remember. It might have been more than that, but he did. It did. And he did.
He's got a bike.
Oh yeah. So because the towpath goes all the way to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know, you can take the Cleveland towpath all the way to Cincinnati. And he rode the whole damn thing. Then he's like, I've never biked before. I had to buy this bike. And I was like, my man just did 350-mile bike
people
ride.
That do that all the time.
Yeah, but that's true. If you're like a U biker, right? Like you've been doing it 5 years.
I've seen people that have done that exact trail from here to Cincinnati a bunch of times. They'll go there and back.
Right. But have they been bikers before, like you?
Yeah, it does take a little time. Yeah, I didn't start off. Yeah, it took me some time to get to where I am now. Because when I first started off, I was really out of shape. I was on a lot. I was medication still. That I wasn't really mentally. I still wasn't right. But the bike slowly helped me get to. Now I can go 10 miles, nothing to me. But
wow, I got to get back in shape.
It takes time, man. It takes time. I tell people just take it one day at a time. Start slow, and it's like momentum. Like anxiety. It's like momentum, or start to slowly get out of things. But I want to touch on something real quick. He made a point, and he says it comes back on you. A lot of times the things that we are angry about with people, it comes back on us. And it kind of reminds me, you've seen that meme, the Spider-Man meme, where they point at each other.
Yeah, they're pointing.
The same thing. And
I was so upset when they didn't do that in the new movie.
But man, I think that meme really is a good mirror of a lot of people nowadays. You hear a lot of people say, well, I can't support this, or for instance, let's use the topic of race. And I don't want to get too far, but I know a lot of people who are pretty racist, I guess you could say, just for example, and now they're not. All of a sudden, they're with a lot of these trends going on. There are these algorithms, and I think you kind of know what I'm saying. It's it's kind of like a hypocrisy going on here. Pandering. And so kind of, what do you see going on there? Because I kind of touched this in the end of my last show too. Just a lot of this, it's kind of like, it reminds me when they brought the woman to Jesus and they found her committing adultery. And they said, the law says the stoner. And he said, well, can't throw your stones. Well, he without sin, throw your stones. And so I guess kind of what I'm saying is a lot of people all sin is equal, right? Is
Yeah,
that what
all sin.
all
Yep.
sin is equal? Now there is one unforgivable sin, which I believe was blasphemy, but I think all sin is equal. We're all sinners. If you even looked upon a woman as a male, you've already committed adultery in your heart. And so,
Yeah.
but my point is, you kind of get what I'm saying, is a lot of these
Yeah.
people with the Spider-Man meme, and they're pointed back at each other. And
Yeah, he's worse than I am. He's worse.
So kind of, I guess, what do you see there now with a lot of this hypocrisy going on nowadays, and just these people that are trying to act like they're perfect and they're really not?
Yeah,
nobody is.
And the Bible does say God. I don't know if it uses the word hate, but I think God does say he very much dislikes hypocrites. I'm pretty sure that's one of the things he hates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pandering has always been a thing, especially with media and social media. Like, they're going to do that to garnish views and whatnot, and be like, oh, we it's that meme where it's like, we stand with the current thing, right?
Mm.
And then let's see, pandering and the blame game, I guess, is the other thing, once you can call it, is like, well, I might be bad, but look what this guy did. And it's kind of like goes with what you touched on, like, all sins are equal, in the sight of God. So, doesn't matter what you did. Like, we're both equally bad.
Right.
Both, and we always can go back to the Bible with that, because that's the cool thing about why we need to look at the Old Testament, why we need the Old Testament, is because it's like the best way I ever had it described to me, and I thought this was great, was like, it's an X-ray. It can show you what's wrong with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't fix the issue. Like, you have a broken bone, you need an X-ray, right?
Mm-hmm.
To figure it out. But is the X-ray going to fix your broken bone? No. That's what the Old Testament is. It shows you how short you fall of God, how short we all fall of God. His standard's perfection, which is impossible for us. And through Christ and the Holy Spirit, we're able to attain forgiveness and have that relationship with him, to help us not do the blame game so much. But unfortunately, it's such a big thing nowadays, especially as people move further and further away from God, or maybe even they might be curious, but there's members in the media or social media that may be like, oh, religion is is bad, or this, that, and the other.
Outdated.
Outdated is another one.
That's what we've heard a lot of recently on these these popular shows that everybody watches that are really trash. It's it is. They're trash. I don't know how people sit and watch them as garbage every day. And these people literally sit up there. That's really who they're talking to. Everybody knows a group they're talking to. They're talking to born again believers. They're talking to Christians. That's really who they're persecuting nowadays. Mm-hmm. They say your law is outdated. Your belief is outdated. And there's a lot of people falling into that quicksand. I like to call it the quicksand. And it's really just another way that the enemy is really just tricking and trapping a lot of people's minds.
Yeah. And, it's always happened, but it always kind of made it funny to me, where how, atheists or agnostics, non-believers, whatever you want to say, they will always, what is this? We seem to be in a point in time.
Mike. What up, Mike Jones? That's my guy. We seem to be in a point in time where everyone understands that they are bad, but not as bad as that person over there. Yeah. But go ahead. What were you point you're making?
Oh yeah, that not non-believers or atheists or whatever. They always try and disprove, or they always try and drag down Christianity, or be like, oh, you believe in a 2,000-year-old book, or this, that, and the other. Or they always try and discredit, where if they truly believed it wasn't true, or it had no bearing on their life, why try so hard to disprove something that you truly believe isn't real? That always kind of got to me. And almost it was an emotional reaction from a lot of them. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever noticed that yourself, but like whenever I've discussed, like when I was especially in the youth group, like, and we had some atheists come around, and like I've evangelized and talked to a bunch of atheists, had some convert to Christianity, which is great,
Yeah.
But you have to, like, some of them would have really good conversation. We would get in a really good theological discussion, and they would gain some understanding. And other times, like I said, it would get emotional. Like they'd have like, and I understood that after I got excommunicated from that church, because it's not a disbelief, it's an anger, it's a bitterness towards God, that the world kind of caused, or like the people around you, or the bad people around you,
Right. So it's like you took some self accountability to when you got to that point, because a lot of people, they just keep blaming you. If you imagine, you'd have kept blaming that church for everything.
Yeah.
You would never be where you are today.
No. And maybe one day down the road, I could reconcile with some of those people, because at the end of the day, there are some good brothers and sisters in Christ in there, and I know there's still a lot of them doing good work. It just didn't work out.
Right. No, I think that's a great point. And like I said earlier, I was mad for a long time, and it took me up until about the last year, really, I'd say the last 6 months, to really get over some things finally, and let things off my chest, and to reframe some things. And a lot of what I understood too, at least for my case with anxiety, is at that time when I was wondering why don't people not understand what's going on with me, like why it's just a lot of why, and a lot of victimhood in a way. You start, as I got older, I look back on these things, I said, man, people really just didn't know what to do. We really don't know what to do when it comes to, in terms of anxiety. And I think that's a lot of it too. Is just, I think sometimes we have to realize with each other that, hey, just because I might know something a little more than somebody else doesn't mean that person isn't as capable. If you get what I'm saying, is doesn't mean they're less of a person. They don't believe what I believe, or maybe they're not where I am, or vice versa.
Their lack of understanding doesn't make them a bad person.
Exactly. And so I think if we all remember, we're all growing, we're all human beings, but we also have to remember too, is we can't, I feel like we talk about a lot of these mainstream shows, corporate news. They're just openly telling people to abandon God, basically, is what they're telling people. And what they're basically saying is, we're going to solve this on our own. And when COVID happened, there was a certain gentleman who I'm not going to name. Him and his brother was a high power elected official. He was a popular news guy. I think people might know who I'm talking about. And, he gets on the air and says one day, we don't need help from above. And I remember I saw that, and I'm like, really? We don't need help from above. We can. That's what he said. We can figure all this out ourselves. We got everything we need right here. And I remember I was thinking to myself, you could try to figure it out all you want to, bud, but eventually you're going to get to the end of the road where, it can only last so long. That's temporary. Everything comes from above. It all starts from above. And that person now, I don't wish harm on anybody, but that person doesn't have a show anymore. And so kind of like what Tony was about, it came back to him. And so, careful what you wish for. And so, and I guess kind of what do you see there with a lot of people that you see this nowadays? Oh, we can figure it all out ourselves. We don't need help from above. It's almost like we don't think of that as our first resource anymore.
Right. And I think that's always been a human thing. Like, I don't even think that's something new. Throughout the Bible or throughout history, you'll just see humans like, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do it. I think that's just the condition of man. We like to think that we have all the answers, that,
the flesh.
The flesh, exactly. That, we're gods among men, and we're going to strive and do this, that, and the other. And, we don't need help from God because we got this. And then, in the end, you always need help from God or some sort of inspiration. But I really think that's just a human thing. Like, I think that's been happening for so long, is, just this boisterous pridefulness And that's the big thing, like humans have always been prideful, so much so that
Mhm.
like God's like, that's one of the most dangerous sins, it's pride,
Mhm.
feeling, and that like, and people always confuse that with like pride is like feeling good about yourself. That's not really what it means.
Right.
Pride is like, I'm above everything, I can do whatever because I'm me, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like, that's that differentiation. Like, obviously you're allowed to feel good about yourself. Like if you do
Right.
something.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
self-confidence and belief. I
Yeah.
think everybody should have that.
Yeah,
But
exactly. That's important.
but
But
you notice the people who are most self-confident and they don't worry about a lot of these things. They're
yeah,
not out trying to seek approval from other people, not looking to argue with
no,
people, just trying to get validation. That's kind of
right.
basically what we've been talking about. These people like you and I, or uh, a lot of people we know probably that are like-minded like us, or just not saying fully, but you know what I mean. If you're strong in your beliefs with Christ, and nothing's ever going to shy you away from that, no matter what happens, you're a pretty strong-minded Christian, a very strong, confident individual person.
Oh, I thank you. I try. So are you,
No,
Joseph.
I appreciate it, bud. Thank you.
And you can bike 10 miles in a day, which makes me even have more respect for you.
I'm gonna get
Can't
you
believe
out on the
it.
bike. That's what we're gonna
Oh
do.
man. I mean, you could try. I haven't biked in a while.
It's
I
really
might
not as
long
hard as you think, as
I
long as you
might
pace
longboard
yourself.
next year. I
Oh,
can
there you go.
longboard still.
Can you?
It's not as much exercise. I'm just
Yeah.
cruising, but
No. Yeah. No, we'll get you out on the bike. It's really not. It's you just pace yourself fine. You'll be good.
right.
It's all about breathing. You got to breathe. People
Yeah.
forget to breathe, but
People forget to breathe.
they do.
That's funny. It's funny how like we all. Well, it's funny because like we both deal with anxiety, and like that's one thing. Like it's like,
Mhm.
oh, basic human function, thing that we've
Yeah.
been doing from birth.
Being
Throw it out the
conscious of your
window.
breath throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's something I've actually learned in the last couple of years. It's really helped me a lot with my anxiety. Just overcoming is breathing. Just being conscious of your
Oh,
breath. Everything starts with your breath. It all
yeah.
starts with
Breathe
your breath.
through your diaphragm. Make sure
Yeah.
get your diaphragm into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Breathe through your stomach, and your stomach should really expand when you breathe. That's why, uh, a lot of times it's making a sidetrack later, but we think what's aesthetically pleasing. A lot of people with six pack abs really can't breathe diaphragmatically like that.
Really.
Yeah, when you have a six pack abs, so you're really tight in there, you can't really breathe. It makes sense. You can't. And I learned this
Yeah.
from Laird Hamilton, and if anybody wants to challenge Laird Hamilton, I think you're crazy. He's go look up Laird Hamilton. This guy is the healthiest guy you'll ever see, and his workouts are insane. But you got to be able to breathe properly. Not saying don't be in shape, and don't be fat, but uh,
Right.
you got to be able to have some movement in there to breathe. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of people don't. Just a simple, just throughout the day,
Right.
through your nose and out your mouth.
Send it up to your brain where it
Yeah,
needs to be.
it's like sending signals to your brain to just calm down and
Yeah. Chill out, relax.
chill
Nothing's
out,
coming to
man.
get you. Play some
But
Kirby.
yeah, so I think, man, we really dove into this video pretty hard. Any other last points you want to make before we go on to the next topic?
No, but I think we should eventually delve more into the book of Ephesians because there's a lot to, especially if Tony Evans has it. I was unfamiliar with him, but like yeah, I've never heard of him until you showed me, sent me that clip, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
he's a really, really good pastor.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good sermon.
Well, it's funny you say that because what got me hooked on Tony Evans was a friend of mine named Chris Kodzov, who is I'm trying to think here. 3 years ago, we did a bath remodel at our house. And I remember I was kind of hesitant to work with him. I was still kind of anxious at the time, not because of him. I was just kind of like, okay. I remember my dad's like, hey, you need to help this guy out. We'll pay you. So I was like, okay. So I started working with Chris. And every day at 2:30, Chris would turn on the radio, and it would be Tony Evans on every day. And that's how I got hooked to Tony Evans. I would have never met Tony Evans, I would have never heard Tony Evans if it wasn't for doing this job. And so, but it's just kind of funny you said that. It reminded me of that because I was actually thinking about that yesterday because I was actually working with Chris again yesterday. We're doing another project right now.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And I just thought of that, like, man, it's crazy just how one thing leads to another.
Right. Yeah, it is crazy how that
to myself.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to check them out more. And the book of Ephesians is definitely, like I said, it's one of my favorite books in the Bible. And like people should definitely check it out. It's got a lot of, I mean, all the Bible has wisdom in it, but that's a really good book.
But we'll definitely do that. We'll have to come back again. We'll bring you on. I'll let you kind of lead the show with that. And I think that's definitely something we should look in more into that book, especially where we are right now, just the climate and where we're headed into the next couple of years. Things are really going to start getting ramped up again. So
election season, baby.
Oh yeah, it always gets. You know how it gets. So
yeah,
buckle up. But stay glued to that Bible more than anything this year. That's anytime.
Yeah,
prayer, Bible, and each other. But
Bible and Browns games.
Yeah, Browns games. So yeah, I guess let's transition to that now. A little more fun. And the link is in the chat too. If anybody wants to come up, we're going to talk some sports now. My buddy Mike was in here. I don't know if he has time, but if he wants to come up and chat some sports, I guess we'll start there. I didn't get to ask you about last time you were on because I know you were up at the Tiki Bar. Your signal's kind of
I was celebrating one of my buddy's birthdays, and I had a jet pilot. I don't know if you have you are you like your dad gonna stay off the demon drink, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I've never drank anything, drink or smoke, never.
It's good for you.
You know my choice of beverages when I'm out? Two things.
Is it Diet Coke?
No, I don't drink pop either.
Oh wow!
No, I don't.
I've transitioned to zero sugar pop.
That's good. You're getting there. It's either orange juice, a small glass of orange juice, I don't know why, or Perrier water, carbonated water.
There, man. That's healthy for you.
That's my alcohol. That's my alcoholic beverage. My drink.
Alcohol's no joke. It can get you.
And water.
Perrier,
whatever it's called. I don't know. Oh, you got your dog there.
Yeah, my dog wants to join the stream. Say hi, Ollie.
Hey, Ollie.
All right, you got to get down there, bud.
Well, yeah, man. What do you think of the Browns schedule now? It's came out. Have you been able to look at it, or let me pull it up here?
Yes, yeah, I have. I have been able to look at it, and by looking at the schedule, all I have to say is I really hope if Deshaun Watson gets suspended, it's at the beginning of the season. Really hope.
Let me pull it up here in a second. Hold on one second. You keep going, though. You find it.
Yeah, no, that's the first thought that I had when I looked at the schedule. I'm like, if he gets suspended at the beginning of the season, we're going to be kosher. But like anything else, it's going to be difficult. Because the first four games aren't bad. I mean, Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, that's not bad.
No. Hold on one second. Sorry, I mean to cut you off.
No, you're cool. I'll
pull this up here. Where is the damn button? Oh, here we go. I'm still getting used to this.
Oh, you're cool, man.
Okay, here we go. Share screen. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. I think. Damn it, I clicked out of it. Okay, there we go. All right, yeah, so you can see the schedule here. Hold on, let me make it bigger. I can't find the tab. Oh, there we go. All right. Now we're talking. So here we go. We got, so Carolina, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, Patriots. I think starting week 5 all the way up till the bye, to me, that's the toughest stretch of the schedule.
Really?
I think because you got the Chargers, who are, they were a borderline playoff team last year. Herbert, I think you can make an argument Justin Herbert's a top 5 quarterback.
Oh, I agree with that.
And they just added Khalil Mack to Joey Bosa. Now, is Khalil Mack maybe what he used to be? Maybe not. But he's still a quality player.
Yeah, and he's not being asked to do it all. That's why I think Clowney did so well with the Browns.
That's what I was about to say. It's the same thing with Joey Bosa and Garrett. So but I think the Chargers are a tough team. New England.
Chargers are a tough team.
Mac Jones.
You can never count them out.
You can't ever count them out. They're going to be tough defensively. I mean, it's Bill Belichick. You're going against the GOAT.
Right.
So,
but they did lose some players. I mean, they lost Chase Winovich, who arguably was their, second best pass rusher. He's on the Browns now. Yeah, we'll take him. They lost J.C. Jackson to the Chargers. Who's probably an argument to be made. He was a top 5 corner last year.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot of players, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. The New England's in a weird spot, and also
I don't
took
think they drafted well either. They took a
yeah,
quarterback
Cole
early.
Strange in the first round was a little weird. I like the kid out of Baylor they took, Tyquan Thornton. He's fast, and like they needed someone like that. But the one pick that really confused me was in the 4th round they took Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They took a quarterback, and I'm like, is he back? Is Bill drafting a backup here? Like, on a 4th round?
Think so. I actually think
You don't think they're all in on Mac Jones?
I don't think they are, because here's the thing: they drafted a burner. Mac Jones is accurate. He's like good at slinging it, but he doesn't have an arm. He can't rocket that.
I've always thought Mac Jones' ceiling is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. Kirk Cousins, but I think Kirk Cousins even has a more powerful arm than Mac Jones.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying at best. Because I like Mac Jones coming out. I liked a lot of what I saw. He seems like to be a study, a film rat. He's solid, no trouble.
He reminds me of Jimmy G, actually, more.
Yeah, like little. Yeah, I can see that. I think a little more accurate though.
A little bit more accurate, Jimmy G. So, and Bailey Zappi, like he came from a school nobody knows. I think it was Western Kentucky, was it? But coming out of a school like that did an air raid offense, not a lot of hard competition, but he threw more touchdowns than Joe Burrow and had more. He had more yards than Joe Burrow. He broke his records. So I don't know. Maybe he's a diamond in the rough guy. I fully expect him to compete with Mac Jones. I don't think they're sold on Mac. I really don't.
I'm not either, because I wasn't. When I looked at Mac Jones last year, when I evaluated Mac Jones, I'm kind of like,
I just don't see him as a Patriot. I really don't.
He did what he was supposed to do last year.
Yeah.
He was a mid-round pick. He landed in a good situation in mid-round. He did what he was supposed to do. But, I mean, my gosh, they beat the Bills in that game. I know it's a 70-mile-an-hour win, but he only threw the ball twice. That tells you they don't really, Josh Allen, he threw the ball like 20 times that game.
Yeah, it's amazing that he was connecting on passes.
Right. But this shows you the disparity in the talent and just the type of player. Not to beat on Mac Jones, but yeah, to me that was kind of odd. I was like, they take Bailey, whatever it's Zappi, is that his name?
It is Zappi, yeah.
Zappi, and I'm like, maybe they're not sold on. You're right, they're not completely sold. I think Bill maybe just is keeping Mac Jones maybe on edge. It's like I was talking about keeping competition in the room, but I still think the Patriots, you always got to give them a shot in a game because, it's the Patriots. It's Bill Belichick. Right. So, but I think you look after that, the Ravens, their divisional game, they're going to
split with them again this year. I'm not giving
healthy this year.
Right. I'm not giving any respect to the Bengals until they beat us. Joe Burrow's yet to beat the Browns, so I'm not giving them no respect.
I mean, they didn't. They're still a great team. Joe Burrow, anytime. Yeah. I just think where we are in the league right now, it's all about quarterback play. Great quarterback play.
So, and I think all the reports, are pointing to maybe a 6-game suspension that gets arbitrated down to 4 is everything that we're hearing.
Well, I mean, there's so many rumors right now. There's talking about him not getting suspended until next year.
I've heard that too, but I don't know if they –
Albert Breer, who's pretty on the money, I'm not saying it's true, but he said, don't be surprised if that happened. If he played the whole 2020 and then he gets suspended in 2023, which I think is dumb. I think the NFL is trying to get it done as soon as they can. This is
just to get rid of the PR.
The PR cleanup.
Yeah.
And, oh, gosh, here comes Corey. Yeah.
But week 4, oh, my God, stop. Aren't you supposed to be selling cars? What time is it? You're not off for another 4 hours, right?
Might be nothing going on.
Yeah, well. Yeah. Week 4 ain't no loss, Corey. Come on, Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder, you want Desmond Ridder to try and run past Myles Garrett?
Yeah, Desmond Ridder ain't gonna be ready to play right away.
He might be ready by week 4 after they have 3 weeks of Marcus Mariota.
I like Desmond Ridder. I like his upside.
I liked him. I thought he was the most. I thought he was the most pro-ready.
Yeah.
Slow right now, he says.
Well, now he wants me to DoorDash him some food. Is that why he just called me in the middle of the show to order him some Chick-fil-A? Because he don't know how to DoorDash?
Now I know they're missing me because I used to DoorDash everything.
All right, they need you back just for DoorDash.
Oh, no. I'll be the dasher. I'll be the driver. Could use an extra couple of minutes.
Right now. Corey, you need to get on DoorDash and order it, all right? But
dude, it takes download the app.
Seconds. Yeah, just
look at us. We're plugging DoorDash for free.
Right.
Join Dash Pass. It's like $5 a month to get free delivery.
Or what's the Uber Eats? Use that too. I don't know.
Uber Eats.
Whatever floats.
Grubhub. If people still use that.
Postmates. People still use
Postmates? I thought Postmates was for like.
I thought that was a food. I don't know what the hell it is.
Is it a food thing?
I thought it was like food thing. I never used it. I just never used it.
I've always used DoorDash.
That's what I
all
use.
The time.
Yeah,
all the time. I use DoorDash. I don't use it as much anymore, thank God. But I used to use it all the time.
Yeah. We're not. Yeah, I don't use as much as I used to. Thank gosh, like you said. But
spent so much money.
Corey, we're not worried about what is that week 4? Yeah, we skipped right over it for a reason. So, anyways, back to week 5 through 8. Baltimore, like I said, fully healthy, and the Bengals. And like I said, you're going against Joe Burrow. So, but you look at that stretch. I mean, look at the quarterbacks they got to play. Because I look at it like that sometimes. Just the quarterbacks alone. Okay, you got to go against Herbert. You got to go against Lamar. You got to go against Joe Burrow twice and Lamar twice. You got to go against Josh Allen. Then you got Brady. Allen and Brady back-to-back weeks. And then
I'll have to go to that game, man. Tom Brady's probably last time at First Energy.
Yeah,
we got to go to that game
as well. Yeah, we got to go to that. And then who else? Now, New Orleans, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. They're a solid team, but I'm not really worried about New Orleans.
Yeah.
But, I mean, kind of, like I said, I think that weeks 5 through 8, I look at the stretch. What stretches you got to get through? I think if they got to get through how many weeks to the bye? So week 9.
That's like the best bye you could ever have. It's like smack dab in the middle of the season. They should be.
If he's suspended, I think they should be.
He should be back realistically, depending on the severity of the suspension. Like worst case scenario, he'll be back by the first Ravens game. Right. Best case scenario, he's back by the Chargers.
Where do you think they should be by the bye week? Let's say if he's suspended.
If he's suspended, realistically, and
you're probably looking at Jacoby Brissett.
So if he's suspended 4 games, or
let's say he's suspended all the way up till let's do worst case scenario all the way up to week 7. So let's say suspended 4 to 6 games. Let's say 4 to 6 games. Jacoby Brissett.
All right, so his first game back would be the Baltimore game. Okay.
Which still might not be because his first game back is going to be his first game. So, I think.
I think he's good enough. He won't miss a beat, though. So with Panthers, I think that's a dub.
Mike Jones.
What's going on, Joe?
It's good to see you.
Oh, Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah,
I love Mike's up here.
Hopefully my mic sounds all right.
No, you're good. We can hear you.
Cool.
What's going on,
guys? I just wanted to say I love the show so far. This is great stuff, honestly.
I appreciate it, bro. It's good to see you, man. Haven't talked to you
for sure.
But
for sure.
Yeah, Mike and I go way back. So we'll call you Mike Jones. We'll call you Antonace. So
all right,
that's fine.
Antonace. Mike and I go back to high school, and this is my guy in high school.
Yeah.
And him and I click, but kind of like yourself, he's very authentic and very just tells it like it is. But
I appreciate that.
So, anyways, yeah. So, what do you want to talk about, Mike? What do you up here talk about the schedule, or what do you got?
I'm looking at the schedule right now as a fellow Browns fan. I think it turns out pretty good, but at the same time, I thought the same thing last year.
That's why, yeah. And
so sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like to that point, I agree with you. Like I'm a little worried myself, but do you guys watch Quincy Carrier ever?
I have not.
Well, shout out to him, Cleveland YouTuber. He covers the Browns.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Quincy.
Yeah, Quincy, and he does a lot for the community. Good dude.
Yeah.
But he was basically saying he thinks a reason of the lack of success last year was because we game planned plays for Baker Mayfield with the assumption that he was a above average quarterback. Those were the plays. So, like, that's probably where the lack of success came from. If we're starting Jacoby Brissett for, worst case scenario, 6-7 games, we're going to game plan as, with Jacoby Brissett as our quarterback.
Right.
So I think, worst case scenario, if Deshaun comes back at the Baltimore game, I say we win our first 4. I think we go 4-0, and then we lose to the Chargers and the Pats. And then with Deshaun Watson coming back against Baltimore, that'll be a hell of a game. But I think we have a chance.
I think around 4-4, 5-3 would be good.
Yeah, like if I've said from the beginning, like if he suspended 6 games and Jacoby can get us 500, that's a dub.
Mm-hmm.
Like Deshaun has a chance to take us to the P's then. But if we can go like 4-2, 5-1, that's an absolute win. Like that's no problem at all.
Absolutely. No, I wonder.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
What happens with Baker at this point? Because we've been waiting for months now.
Months. He'd been waiting for months.
I don't know, man. I don't. It's heading to the point where they just got to cut his ass. I would. You got to move on. You can't be having this going into camp. I mean, they're talking about Mary Case about, well, if they get the mandatory camp, Baker's going to show up. I'm like,
no.
You really want that headline in your camp? No. Like, move on. I'm done with this dude. Like, just move on.
I was ready. I
thought it was going to happen draft day. I was checking Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, the Panthers talks are, heating up. Yeah. I was like, they're going to take him. He's going to be in Carolina. And I hear those trade talks aren't really dead yet, but I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know.
At this point, the thing that makes the most sense, because like you guys see this national narrative where it's like, well, if Deshaun Watson's suspended, maybe the Browns should just keep Baker Mayfield.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
Yeah, like this is how you know the national media doesn't watch,
just throw it right in the locker room
at all. Yeah, exactly.
Detonate a bomb right in the whole chemistry. Just F it all
right.
up.
And the Browns aren't going to do that. They're smarter than that. But it's like it just shows that the national media doesn't watch them at all, because it's like they would have known we've signed legitimately 4 quarterbacks, none of which are named Baker Mayfield. We signed obviously Deshaun, Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, and now that kid out of Alcorn State for our practice squad whose name I can't remember right now. But
I don't remember either.
We signed 4 QBs, and Stefanski already said, like, if Deshaun's suspended, we're going to roll with Jacoby. Like, they went after him knowing that a suspension was possible. All teams that went after him totally knew, hey, a suspension might be coming, but he's good enough. We're willing to take a chance. Like, this isn't new news. I don't know why all these
when you can run the ball the way they can run
like,
the ball, and they're set to run the ball the way they could run the ball, the offensive line. You just need a game manager for about 4 weeks.
Yeah. Out of all the teams that have to wait on a star quarterback to come back off the suspension, the Browns is probably the best scenario. It's like, because you have 3, now maybe 4 starting caliber running backs.
But Mike, what do you think? What do you think happens to Baker?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like we're going to have to cut him, and I hate that because I always would want to get something in return.
Right.
I agree.
Unfortunately, I feel like he's going to be cut, and I don't want to say this. I'm going to have to. I think he stays in the AFC North, and we all know what team he would go to.
Yeah.
We all know what team needs him.
The Ravens. I
wish.
They finally get a quarterback.
All right. Just let him hand the ball off.
Handed the ball to Lamar the way it should be.
But it's going to be tough.
It's
going to be very tough seeing Baker Mayfield stay in the North in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. I'm calling.
You really think they would still go after him?
Even with Kenny Pickett, two glove.
I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like Trubisky is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. And
really?
I'm going to be totally truthful with that. I've never been a fan of Trubisky.
Really?
I would not have his roster spot secured. I wasn't too sure why they were just so confident in him automatically anyway. I feel Baker, I think he goes there and fits right in, unfortunately.
Really?
He
I
might.
don't know.
What is Pittsburgh's
think-
identity though offensively? They never have one. Because I think you make a good point. I think they want competition.
Well, their
But-
identity is through their defense, in my opinion. I mean, that's what
Absolutely.
everybody does.
I'm saying
Pittsburgh.
offensively, what do they do? I mean, you want Baker to go in there and
Without
throw
Ben.
the ball 40 times a game? I don't.
Without
Yeah.
Ben, I'm confident in Najee Harris. You know, I would be a huge fan of Najee if he was not on the Steelers. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I would be fine handing the ball off to him as many times as possible. And I think Big Ben at the end was a very bad quarterback. He was able to get them at that 500 range. I truly feel like all they need is that average to above average quarterback, and they're back in the playoffs simply because of their defense.
I still trust, as old as he was, you can call him Glue Factory. I still trusted Big Ben more than Baker, even at the end of his career. Just decision making wise. Just decision making alone. Yeah.
Right.
And size.
And the other
I think
thing
size
too
matters.
is right, exactly. And I mean, I don't know if they would take Baker because at this point they've invested so much in Kenny Pickett. They used their 20th overall pick, and they already have that familiarity with Kenny Pickett. His training facility was legitimately within walking distance of the Steelers' training facility. So, and he's 24. He's 2 years younger than Baker. That's it. He's an old quarterback coming out of the draft. So I think this almost forces them to have to roll with Kenny, or at least start him at the beginning of the season, which almost makes me feel bad for Mitch because Mitch thought he was going to rejuvenate his career and then they pick a QB in the first round.
Right.
But I'm not a fan of Mitch's play either, but I feel bad for the cat because Matt Nagy's a bad coach and he had to deal with him for, the bulk of his career, starting his whole starting career, basically.
I think we lost Mike there.
Oh, okay.
We lost his mic. Hit the mic, or I'll put the link in the chat again. Hit the rejoin. But
put the link in the chat.
No, I saw Mitch play in high school. I actually stood at his locker. Believe it or not.
Is he from around?
He's from Menor.
Really? I didn't know. Oh, God. Thank God he didn't come to Cleveland.
Oh, I know.
Browns fans love their hometown dudes. They would have been clamoring for him for a starting game.
A lot of people wanted him because, remember, he was in the same draft as Miles. They're like, take him number one. Take him number one.
Oh.
I wasn't sold him as being number one pick. I'm like, I don't know about that. Because Deshaun Watson was in that draft. Mahomes.
I guess it all worked out. I mean, we still got Deshaun in the end, but
right, and we got Miles too. But
yeah, and Miles. I can't see Myles Garrett in a different uniform. It would mess me up.
Oh, you're good. I saw Mitch play in high school. I stood at his locker. We played a shout out to 2012 Varsity Black. That was our national championship team. We played our national championship game at Menor High School. In his locker, we were in the Menor locker room. I saw his letters hanging on his locker. And then I saw him play his senior year. But yeah, he's good in high school. But yeah, I don't. In the pros, he's solid at best, but
solid enough to start some games. That's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's a game manager, which that's what he is. But
he had that one great 11-5 season with the Bears. Yeah,
they got to play Pickett because the ownership's not going to allow somebody. They're not going to let you take a guy 20 and not play him. The fan base is in love with the guy. That's really what drives it is the fans.
The Pittsburgh fans are going to love that kid.
With Baker, I think Seattle.
I thought was the perfect fit.
I think Seattle is smart.
Drew Lock is there now.
Yeah,
Drew Lock.
They traded for him with Russ. I would assume they anticipated that being their quarterback, or maybe they thought somehow, some way they would be able to trade for a better one in the meantime. I don't know if Baker fits. Seattle.
I think
I thought it was the perfect fit because
what a lot of teams are banking on is they know the Browns are going to have to cut him eventually.
Right,
the value's terrible. But I think they're waiting for Seattle, or if you're a team like Houston, you get to the midpoint of the year, you're just terrible.
Well, Houston likes Davis Mills.
You just add Baker, though. I'm saying it's Baker's somebody you just throw in there in the middle of the year. It's like his rookie year. You throw him in the middle of the year, gives you a little spark and a little fan. That's how these owners look at it.
That looks fun.
But that's why I don't think he's traded. I still think Seattle. Right. I like Seattle.
I do think Seattle was perfect for him because, Mike, what you were saying, I mean, with Seattle, I mean, look at what Russ did with Seattle, right? Pete Carroll runs an offense that he loves to run the ball, loves to run it, And if you look at Russell Wilson, I'm not comparing Baker Mayfield to Russell Wilson. Obviously, Russell Wilson is a much better quarterback. But I'm saying the offenses that Pete Carroll ran, Russ would only throw. His best years were 26 touchdowns, 27 touchdowns, 8 picks, like 3,500 yards. Baker's best years, very similar. They rush the ball, more than they pass. And, he won't be asked to throw the ball a bunch. And Baker's cool with not throwing the ball a bunch. I think that actually Baker fits really well with Pete Carroll likes to do. It's just a matter of, I don't think at this point either it's the play or just the off the field stuff. I think it's more the off the field stuff that NFL owners just don't deal with them. And I think the best case scenario is Baker Mayfield goes to the Browns and is like, hey, tell you what, if you cut me, I'll eat $12 million. Just pay me $6 million. I'll eat $12 million, and you can cut me. I think if he approached the Browns and offered something like that, the Browns would do it in a second, like in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what's going to have to happen. Because I mean, I know they we still want to get something back, but in the same token, there's still people. I feel like we still gotta let the dude go try and find work. You know what I mean?
I think just a PR standpoint, it's time to move on.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
It's time to move on.
The Browns already got so much PR shit coming their way now.
A guy $230 million. It's time to move on. But now I want to transition to the NBA playoffs because I know Mike, you're a big basketball fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than football.
Both Mikes.
Yes. That was our what was English class? That was our table every day, lunch table. It was all basketball.
Every single day.
Every single day. Just man, it was nuts. I miss those days sitting there at that table arguing about this shit.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so Dallas gets whopped last night, and then we got game 2 tonight. Let's see, Miami's up 1-0. Hopefully, Boston. I think Al Horford and Marcus Smart being out is a big deal. I don't know what the status is. I'm gonna look at that real quick. But Mike, you go first.
Al Horford's
I believe Al
big
Horford
for them.
Yeah, but I believe he's ready to be back. I know he was out with some COVID related things, I believe. And now he's back. He's back. So Al Horford at his age in 2022 is still a key part of this Boston Celtics team. And it's weird to me how him being in those Bucks games, I feel they don't even get out that series if you put any other similarly rated center in that lineup. Al Horford has that connection with Boston, has a connection with the players, obviously, from him formerly playing there, but just he fits perfectly in their offense.
And that's why Brad Stevens becomes GM. What's his first move? Goes pick up Big Al.
Absolutely. He
Come
knows.
on back, Al.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows. I feel today, first off, we have to mention the Celtics were up against the Heat. They had their number. They looked like they were going to finish very strong. The Heat had that third quarter that just was different. The Celtics could not keep up with the pace. They were swarming on defense. The Heat looked like real title contenders, like they are going to go all the way this year. Yeah. But having Al back, with also not having Marcus Smart is huge. Not having your best defensive player of the year on the court at all times, what are you supposed to do? Even if you don't need somebody to stay on Jimmy 24/7, you still have to worry about Oladipo. You still have to worry about Hero. You still have to worry about all of these great scorers on Miami. And don't overlook their defensive prowess as well. Like they're a great team. They really are. I'm not going to lie to you. I had no indication that the Celtics would even get half the distance they've gone so far. I felt like they would be out first round. I believed in the Nets. That was my fault.
I think we all did. Everybody ate that.
I believed in the Bucks. I thought the Bucks were going back to back.
And
myself,
the
Bucks,
absolutely.
Chris Middleton, they were missing Chris Middleton that whole series.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like tonight it's a good game. I feel like it's a lot closer at the end, but I still feel Miami comes out on top.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like Jaylen Brown Jason Tatum had a
ahead.
great last game. I don't feel it happens again.
Well, I think too that I think you made a point. They look good in the first half. I'm watching the first one. Oh, dang, look at Boston without the injuries. But then
Yeah.
they just look fatigued in the second half. And I think look at Boston's top players. Okay, Tatum, Brown, that's 1 and 2. When you get the 3, you get the 4. It's Marcus Smart, Al Horford. You take those 2 guys away outside of the top 2. That's a lot of pressure on those guys. Jaylen Brown, they need him offensively. But when he's using so much energy on defense because they don't have their top defender, he's not going to be able to go the full 4, all the minutes on both ends. You're putting so much energy chasing, and he's not just chasing guys around, he's chasing Hero around. These are guys running off screens constantly. You got Big Tucker setting screens, Adebayo setting screens. These guys, I think they just got fatigued. But they need Jaylen Brown, I think, more than any player, because Tatum's going to get his 25, 30 points at least. And so,
right.
But you got to get, I think, Marcus Smart, and both of them, really, because I think Al Horford's kind of like the glue. But I think, to me, Jaylen Brown's the key. You got to get Marcus Smart back to take the heat off him on defense.
Absolutely. But at the same time, you look at the Celtics, that game 7 against Milwaukee, that took a 9 3-pointer game from Grant Williams. That took Peyton Pritchard to step up. Like, they're a deep team. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Only issue is you're relying on – the Cavs ran into the same issue when they would go to the finals against the Warriors and lose again and again and again. They're relying on these people who are not stars to have star-studded games. It's not going to happen all the time. You might randomly get 25 from Jordan Clarkson. That's crazy, but you can't rely on him to give you 25 like you can rely on Klay to give it to you. So when you're matching up with that team, he's a role player. He plays his role. Occasionally, they'll have a great game. Grant Williams is not going to give you 29 points every time you go out there on the court. If you're relying on that in order to win, you will not win a 7-game series. Simple as that. No. You can't.
I'm still pretty split. I think I'm going to take the Celtics tonight. I just, after knocking out everybody the Celtics have, I'm not ready to give up on them just yet. I think the Celtics still have a good chance to come up on Miami, and also not to knock on Jimmy Butler. He had 40 some odd points last night. I just don't see him doing that again. Especially, maybe Bam has a big game. Maybe, is Kyle Lowry still out for them too?
Yeah, he's got a hamstring. He's still out.
Yeah,
I think he's still out. He's been out for a while.
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. So they're still relying on Oladipo. I don't know. I still like the Celtics. I actually like both teams that lost in game 2.
Mike or Antonace, your mic's going out a little bit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a little staticky. It's like you're in water.
All right.
Or like a jar or something.
Yeah, it's real loud. It's like an echo.
Let me leave and come back. Let's see if that fixes it.
I'll bring it back. So, well, let's wait for it. Man, it's like old times now. It's like the old
lunch. Yeah, I know, right? Man.
It's English
lunchroom all over again.
Yeah, it's good to see you, though, man. I want to appreciate you coming up here. For sure.
I had to stop by. Yeah. I literally, as soon as I got out of my meeting, I hopped straight into this.
Yeah. What are you down in Georgia now?
Yeah, I'm down in Atlanta right now. It's starting.
Let people know what
you're
doing, what you've been up to lately. I'll bring Mike back up in a second, but let people know you've been up to lately. I know you've been doing a lot of big things on your social media. So let people know.
Basically, I accepted a job recently down here in Georgia, working for AMP. It's a kind of like a YouTube collective. They do a lot of lifestyle type of videos, a lot of sport videos as well on YouTube. Coming up on 2 million subscribers pretty soon. 2 million is on the way. We're at 1.9 something right now. I'm excited for 2. Basically, we're just going to keep trying to do this thing and see how far I can go.
You're the producer, right?
Yeah, produce all their videos. Started, if you look at their channel, with AMP Love is Blind, anything you see past that has been a Michael Matthews production.
Well, that's what's up, because that's awesome. I know you and I talked a lot last year, and you really worked your ass off to get to where you are now. And I'm not surprised, though. I always knew you were going to do something like this. And
I appreciate it.
I always told you that, because you were always just a little different in a good way than everybody else. Just real, authentic, and just a belief in yourself. And so, but nah, man, appreciate it. Salute to you, man. Salute to the AMP. And
Absolutely. Thank you.
enemies
Thank
not,
you. One thing I
enemies
can
not subscribed to him. Let's get him to 2 million.
absolutely please.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, God is good. God knows what he's doing. He has a plan for all of us, and I trust his plan. That's what got me here.
That's what's up, man. But I think Mike's back up here. There he is. There he is. Let's see if we can hear you now.
Does this work? Is it better?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, now we're back.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm kind of split too. I don't because if Tatum goes off for 50, which he can do that anytime.
Oh,
He's
dude, yeah.
good. It's like, man, I don't know if Miami can match that because, like you said, Butler he can get you 40, but it's not consistent. It's not like a Tatum 40 where Tatum go out there and get you 40 any night if he wants to. I don't think Butler can quite do that.
I don't feel he needs to, though. That's the only issue.
Well, where do the other points
that.
come? So Tyler Hero's got to give you, or who is going to give you 25, or somebody's going to give you.
You're gonna have to get some from Bam, some from Hero. Maybe they might play their person they're paying all this money off the bench, Duncan Robinson. You know, he's a pretty nice shooter.
Duncan Robinson,
yeah, maybe he'll get some playing time this series. All of those tens of millions of dollars just going to waste. But hey, we'll see.
Not even in rotation. It's great.
But so what do you guys think of the other series going on with Mavericks and Warriors?
I really hope the Mavs go and beat them because I'm really not trying to watch Warriors in the finals again.
Yeah,
no,
man, they look kind of like just starstruck last night a little bit. I don't know if that's the word to use, but just kind of like nervous or
they look tired.
They look tired, nervous. They just look. Luka's like can't get any help.
And that's why I think the Warriors might unfortunately win because like we're talking about like the Celtics problems, but I still think the Celtics like they can have a guy show up that you might not think about, but like who's Luka's two? You know, Spencer Dinwiddie. You know, Jalen Brunson. Like,
yeah,
who's his two? Really? Like
Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, Nitlinka.
Oh, who? Oh, yeah,
Did I say it wrong?
I don't know how to say it. It's like
he's from France. I'm not good at the French names.
Yeah, oh, you're talking. You're saying Frank, right? The defensive guy, Ntilikina.
Ntilikina, he could shoot a little bit. No, yes. not him. The other guy. Who's the big guy? They got
Bjelica. Yeah.
Yeah, Bjelica.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I hope it's not like you said. I hope it's not a blowout.
I hope Luka takes him there, but I don't know if Luka. Like, I mean,
it's going to take a 40-point triple-double LeBron-esque type
every game for them to win.
Yeah.
I just hate that. Like, I mean, so they had Steph and Clay for all this time, and then Kevin Durant, and like now all of a sudden they went and drafted Jordan Poole. Now all of a sudden he's going to be like a star now too. They can't keep getting away with this. I'm so upset.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm glad because the playoffs have been the same without the stars like LeBron, Durant.
Yeah,
I miss Kyrie, but I'm glad you're up here, Mike, because this is perfect for you and both you guys. Did you guys see what Kyrie said the other day about?
Yes.
I miss.
Yeah.
Basically, he says, I regret leaving.
My time in Cleveland ended wrong.
I'm like, thanks for telling us now, number one. But number two,
I should have been more mature.
Yeah, but man, I think there's a strong possibility those two rejoin each other. And so I want to throw that out there. Kind of, what do you guys think? I guess Mike, will start with you. Do you think there's a possibility? Would you trade Anthony Davis straight up for Kyrie? Because I would.
If I'm the Lakers. And I'm coming off of just the most disappointing season ever. I don't know if I'm Rob Pelinka, if I pull the trigger on a Anthony Davis Kyrie Irving trade. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Nets get significantly better.
Mm-hmm. I think both sides do.
I don't think the Lakers, obviously, having a player that might be out there longer than 30 games in a season. At the same time, Kyrie he's shown he's capable of having those serious injuries. Mm-hmm. So, his availability just in the past couple seasons have been in question. And I feel like that's the only downside of Anthony Davis, just his availability. The best ability is availability. And Russell Westbrook is still on the team with that trade. So now you have Kyrie and Russ. That's an ugly backcourt, in my opinion.
The way you got to trade Russ. That's the way
I don't know
would
if
do
you
it.
can. You can
See,
trade Russ. You have to
I would
attach
trade
some sort
Russ
of draft
for-
capital.
I would trade him for that, or I would trade him for maybe a serviceable big, maybe some like couple of the bench pieces. But the reason why I would do it is because I don't think Anthony Davis is Kyrie Irving. Is he more talented because he's bigger and maybe more versatile? Yeah, but who do I trust more in a big game? I'm taking Kyrie all day, and I just think LeBron and Kyrie, man, that duo was like peanut butter and jelly. LeBron's going to carry him all the way to 46 minutes, and at the end of the game, Kyrie's the assassin that's going to end the game. And he was the closer. They don't have that in LA. They don't have a closer. They don't have.
Absolutely.
I just think those two to me should have never left each other. And selfishly, as a Cavs fan, I wish they didn't. But I think Mike's cutting out again. Want to bring him back up? Oh, there he is. But
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. But I think both sides would get better. I just don't think Durant and Kyrie. There's not a playmaker out there. There's just two ball dominant scorers, and so I think they need a big and Anthony Davis, especially in the East with all the bigs that are out there. But I also think if I'm the Lakers, I would do it. I just think it's better. I think those two are a better, more lethal combo because they're like fire and ice.
I feel historically it's a good connection.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I know it's going to make us, sound old a little bit. That was like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot can change in 6 years, and they both have changed in 6 years. And Kyrie is not that young guard that's just going to go out there and just take over a game. He is that veteran guard that I still feel is capable of doing it, but on a night-to-night basis, I feel if he was capable of doing it, he would have done it in that most recent series. It didn't happen. And that's a well-rested Kyrie as well. He barely even played the regular season. Give Kyrie
and he's pissed
60
off
whole
too.
games. Right. I feel it's a high risk, high reward. I think the Lakers might be desperate enough to do it. Me personally, if I'm thinking about my future, I've traded all of my younger talent for Anthony Davis. I'm going to get as much out of him as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the issue too. Is that's what's really holds it all up. Is nobody? What's LeBron going to do? Nobody knows what he's going to. He's going in the last year of his deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think he's going to sign there long term, personally. But
he shouldn't.
He shouldn't either.
I think it's more likely that LeBron comes back to the Cavaliers than it is. That Kyrie goes to the Lakers. That's what I think is more.
I don't say Kyrie goes to the Lakers, but I do think the two of them, because LeBron's even hinted at it a bunch of times, and now Kyrie's saying it, that they kind of want to team back up a little bit. I think they're thinking about it. I'm sure they talked.
I mean, I could see. So that would mean like LeBron going to the Nets, or
anywhere. I mean, they can pick a destination. I don't know.
I think Cleveland is probably one of the most.
I was going to say the Cavs, because the Cavs have the nucleus, the young core to make that happen. But
absolutely, and they have they should have the space at that time, unless you extend Colin Sexton with something that is just like way too much. You're still going to have Darius on a rookie contract, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen you already have locked up. Kevin Love's contract is going to be off of the books. You're going to have space. Some people are going to have to, be lost in that. You might have to eventually trade some people out, maybe get rid of like an Isaac Okoro, get rid of Lauri Markkanen, get rid of, Kevin Love not being brought back, Colin Sexton not being brought back.
Yeah.
And go with that core of Mobley, Allen, Darius, LeBron. All you need is that fifth, and that might just have to be Kyrie Irving.
That's what I was thinking, because I want to. I'm glad you took it there, because that's what I was. Because I'm like LA. I don't think LeBron's all in LA for the future. I don't. But
if that's how it happens, that'd be wild. Like Kyrie and like LeBron both try their own little things. It worked a little bit, but not a lot. And they're like, let's just go back to Cleveland. They got a great young
Kyrie too. Kyrie can opt out of his contract this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He can go to
And
Cleveland literally in a couple months.
in a couple months, and LeBron's got to make a decision with the Lakers by August. So I'm not saying it's going to happen this summer. Would it surprise me? No, but I don't. Especially now with Phil Jackson's involvement with the Lakers, heavily involved. LeBron ain't sticking around with that.
Phil Jackson does not like LeBron for whatever
They don't like
reason
each other. Yeah, they don't like each other, and he's heavily involved now. If you read, it's all over the articles, and that ain't gonna work.
No.
And so if I'm LeBron, I think LeBron can win you at least one or two more titles. He just the guy's coming off of almost 30 points a game. He's arguably still the best player in the league.
Yeah.
And so, man, you put him with Kyrie back in Cleveland with a young core around him, a better supporting cast, a better coaching, better everything. Why not?
I mean, I think they could get out of the East because, like, hard teams in the East are what, like Miami, Boston, and the Bucks. That's really it. I'm not really ready to put Philly on that like pedestal like everybody else is, just because I haven't seen anything from Philadelphia. Side note, how sad is it that look how Jimmy Butler's playing. Imagine if he never would have left Philly. Like they could have won so much there.
Did you see what he said? He walked out after they beat him. He's like, they took Tobias Harris over me? Over me? I'm like, yeah, you ain't lying.
Yeah. I like Tobias Harris. I just don't like him.
He ain't Jimmy Butler.
No, he ain't Jimmy Butler.
He ain't a Ferrari like Butler. Butler's a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris is a nice he's a Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah. He's a Grand Wagoneer.
He's a Grand Wagoneer.
Tobias Harris is serviceable. We'll get you. He's a
little overpaid. Not to say overpaid. He earned his money, but you know what I mean. He's a little, I wouldn't have him on the books for that kind of money. But that's just me. But yeah, I don't know, man. I that team to me could win it all easily because I mean, look at all the bigs. You got Mobley, you got Allen down low, you got LeBron basically running the point. Him and Darius go off the ball with each other. The only thing that would concern me is the small backcourt, but I think LeBron can make about anything work. So that's just me.
I feel like one thing that concerns me is kind of development. They always talk about with LeBron. You look at Lonzo, you look at Brandon Ingram, you look at Kuzma, you look at who on the Cavs was a young player. Kyrie, I think, was a great example of a young player that developed even better with LeBron. But there's been that talent that was drafted that just couldn't get it done yet because they're expected to be NBA champion level, players coming into the league. It would be a lot to ask for someone like Evan Mobley, a lot to ask for somebody like Darius Garland, who now, we're just celebrating the fact that we made the play-in. Now, if you don't get out the East, it's a failed season. Those are big expectation differences, and you have to be a certain type of player in order to handle that. We've seen people fold under pressure. They're not used to having to win. They're used to being able to, we're almost 500. We're doing all right. LeBron's on the team. You have to win, or you will now be on a different team.
And if you lose, it's your fault.
Yeah.
But I think Darius is the oddball out because from a roster construction standpoint, it doesn't make sense to have him and Kyrie at the same time. But if you get LeBron, Kyrie's more ready than Darius right now to win a championship because you got to win a championship if you get LeBron back. So you got to maximize it. I would do it with Kyrie, and it may not make sense for the future, and if you draft Bronny, he's gonna be the point guard anyways. That's how I look at it. But what could you flip Darius Garland for another?
I wouldn't flip Darius.
I wouldn't want to do that.
I wouldn't want to do it, but I wouldn't think it doesn't. Does him and Kyrie really fit? I don't think it fits.
I want to say it like this. Look at the Los Angeles Lakers right now. Let LeBron leave in the offseason in 1 year. They've gotten rid of all of their first-round picks, all of their young talent. They will be left with Anthony Davis and him by himself. LeBron and Russell Westbrook for 1 year. I'm telling you right now, if LeBron is no longer a Los Angeles Laker, they are the 14th seed, 13th seed for the next 5 years.
Oh, they're horrible.
They don't have a future. They have no future because they sacrificed it for that championship. I do feel we could get that championship with LeBron and Kyrie, and it might have, we might have to flip Garland. But if you still want to be a fan of Cavs basketball after LeBron retires, it's not going to be a good move. But if you just want
that's the thing,
that
because
extra
I like,
championship,
yeah. Well, because I like the Mobley Garland connection for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah,
but Kyrie would have to be the 2 guard. Basically, you're just telling Kyrie just go score the ball.
I mean, wasn't that when Harden?
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't he basically do that with Harden?
That's what I thought of. I said, well, that's a good point, because I thought about that when I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, I mean, he did it with Harden. He's a better scorer. He's not a pass first guy, anyways. Maybe it could work. Darius is a great shooter. Probably a better straight, just pure spot shooter than most other guards in the league. He's got range, so maybe it could work. But defensively, does it work? I'm like, well, I don't know. But when you got 3'7" or basically, I mean, LeBron's 6'10" with his shoes on. You got those tall, lengthy guys behind you. It kind of makes up for a lot of that defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But
Evan Mobley's got to put on like 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, he's got to get stronger.
And he'll be insane.
Yeah, he's gonna be. He's kind of like the next Garnett to me. He looks like.
Yeah. My ceiling's so high on that kid after this year.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, what do you think? You think he's the next Garnett?
Absolutely. I feel like he should have been the Rookie of the Year this season.
He was robbed.
Yeah, he should have been. He got robbed.
Absolutely. I definitely see Mobley kind of being. I think Mobley gets his jersey retired as a Cleveland Cavalier.
I think so too. I think he's like Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Stayed the whole career with the same team, solid, professional. Tim Duncan. I mean, that's power forward. So yeah, I see the same thing. I totally agree with that. But before we get out, we've been going almost 2 hours. I know we got the game coming on tonight, and I appreciate you guys coming up here. But I guess, Mike, you watched from the beginning of the show? Were you watching, Mike, when me and Antonace were talking about the other topics earlier?
I got in around the Tony Evans conversation.
All right, so you heard most of it then, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I want to get your take on that, because we're all younger guys. Excuse me. Kind of what was your take on all that discussion we had about just a lot of things we were talking about, really, but just kind of a lot of internal things started on the inside, and I know you commented on it, and so
yeah,
you're up on the panel now. What do you think about all that?
One thing, first off, thanks for having me, guys. One thing I will say, I always looked at something like pandering, and pandering is huge right now, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to be right, and they're not willing to sacrifice that feeling of being the odd one out. They want to always, and it's weird because they're able to skew their own views just because they feel this is what the majority thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I can't imagine, waking up daily and saying, oh, I need to make sure I feel the same way as everyone else today. And they pander to get these brownie points from everyone else. Oh, they're an ally. Oh, they think like us. Oh, they're one of us. They fit in. And they don't even truly feel that way. They're simply just trying to get that approval. I do feel like that's something that is happening even more now, because there's a lot of things now I feel are very two-sided. There's certain things that might not have been a debate in the past that's now a debate. And everyone wants to be on the winning team. They don't want to do, the dirty work of not agreeing and having to explain your beliefs and things like that. One thing I will say, a very underrated method for not having to debate with somebody on something, and I want to make sure everyone hears me on this, is simply shutting up.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Let's try that.
Just being
you
an
don't
observer.
always have. Yeah, literally, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You can sit there and watch. There's certain things you don't have to talk. Like you just don't have to talk about. If you don't want to speak about something, you don't have to. Now, I'm not asking you to sit there and be, to stop being an active listener or stop being an active person in conversation. But I'm just saying, simply, you don't have to engage in something you know is going to be detrimental to whatever environment you're in. There's no need to have this hateful conversation. I can just not say anything. We can agree to disagree. I do think it's very interesting, especially when it comes to things like faith, because you're taught to kind of defend your faith. Because if you do not, are you really even faithful?
Right. Do you really stand on what you believe?
Do you stand on what you believe? Do you practice what you preach? When someone challenges your faith, I feel that's a very hard moment to be quiet. Simply because you feel, if I'm quiet for this, I'm not proving that I truly believe it. I honestly, in my own opinion, would rather see how it plays out. Because there's certain people, like myself, I went to a Christian school. I grew up in a Christian home, went to church, went to chapel at school, all of these things. I myself, right now, do not identify as a Christian. And it's not because I feel Christianity is the worst thing to happen in human history, and it's nothing like that. It's simply because I don't practice the views nearly as much as I should. And I don't feel like I should represent something that I don't fully engage in, if that makes any sense.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
There's certain people that will continue to be that representative, and those are the people that you go on Twitter and you see, oh, these are the Christians that are teaching us, they're telling us we need to do this. They're bad representations because they don't want to come to terms with the fact that they do not live according to this faith. They're simply that faith because it's what they've been taught to be their entire lives. I was raised a Christian. It's very easy for me to say I'm a Christian. I have Christian beliefs. I have a lot of Christian beliefs. It's super simple for me to just have a quick conversation. Oh, I'm a Christian. No, because I'm not a great representation. I want you to see Christians that truly are Christians. Simple as that. I will say Dr. Tony Evans is definitely one of my favorite pastors as well. Listen to him a lot on the radio. I'm forgetting. I'm not even out of Ohio for more than a week. I already forget the radio station.
WKNR, I believe.
Yes. And
you probably heard it on the same station I heard it on.
Yeah, I'm sure. Janet Marsh was on there. Like a lot of things
Tony was on at 2:30 every day.
Yeah. Tony, I think he does a great job of, I feel, spreading the word of God in a way it's easily understood. Because there's certain things that can just be very confusing about just text, whether it comes to any types of religion. Any pastor that's able to kind of dumb it down a little bit, not even dumb it down, just relate it to everyday life. I greatly commend someone like that. And I think he does that very well.
Yeah.
But basically, so I don't just keep talking about everything, because you guys are as long as you keep looking at me, I'm just going to keep talking.
No, you're good, bro. No, you're making it out. I love you listen to what you're saying there, but Mike,
yeah, please.
I'm gonna bring you back on. Maybe you have to rejoin. You're stuttering out a little bit because you're making some great points. I want to make sure your connection's good so people can see you. So I'm gonna bring you back up real quick.
Okay.
Just come back on. But so I guess, what was your reaction to, or you want to carry off of what he was saying?
Just off of
hold on. Hey, Mike, leave the thing and come back in again. I think you got to redo your whole connection. Yeah. All right, well, go ahead.
Just off of what makes Tony Evans a good pastor.
I guess kind of like what Mike was saying there about. I thought he made an interesting point there about. Does it feel like he's? I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'll wait for him to get back up here, but
yeah,
kind of what he's saying is, he doesn't feel like he's a representation of Christianity. I guess he's back up here now. So I guess, but it kind of reminds me of your story, and you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, with I don't know if you watched a couple episodes when I was on before Mike, but I was in a zealous church for probably throughout 5 years, because it would have been through high school and then through first year at college, technically, but zealous home church system. I taught youth group. They were like training me to like teach, like be a leader in their group and whatnot. I, long story short, fell in love with my now fiance. And because of that, I was excommunicated from said church, and people who I was friends with for, years and years that I considered family kind of did the whole Amish shunning thing.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying with the like representation and whatnot, because we all fall short of I was kind of touching on this with you earlier, Joseph. We all fall short of the glory of God, and that's what even the Old Testament is for. It's like an X-ray, shows us what's wrong but doesn't fix the issue. But through Christ, through the Holy Spirit, we're able to achieve that salvation and that forgiveness, and that's what really does make us Christians, is being forgiven. And so in my mind, it's almost like that's like the root of Christianity, is that we are forgiven people.
Yeah,
that's the biggest.
flawed.
We're all flawed,
Mhm.
none of us are perfect. All sins are equal in the
But,
sight of God. We were talking about that earlier too.
Yeah, but Mike, I like what you said when you're going on there, because you and I are pretty similar background in a lot of ways. We know we were at the same place for a while, and I think we kind of see it. We saw a lot of things we see eye to eye on, and kind of what you said, it's almost like a hypocrisy. I believe that's what you were referring to, right? A lot of people are like act one way, but you really know who they really are.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say any names or places or anything, but that year, I never really spoke out, but when that year when you and I were in that together for about a year and a half, well, a little over a year, man, I saw a lot of that. And I came from a school that was a lot smaller before that, and that school had its issues like everywhere. Nowhere's perfect. But that school, I think the smaller size of it was a lot more traditional people, a lot more stuck to their values, and just regular people. And I'm not saying there wasn't regular people at the school after. There was a lot, and there's a lot of great people. And some people I still talk to this day. But there was a lot of just this new trend, this new type of, it's almost like taking the word, but making it to, I don't know how to say it, where they can fit into everything. It's almost like trying to make it more culture, I guess you could say is the word. And like you said, it kind of turns a lot of people off. Like, hey man, that's not really authentic. You really believe, and it's just a lot of just two-faced type of people going on, and it really just rubs a lot. If you take somebody who doesn't know the Lord at all, and you throw them into that school like that, it's kind of like Mike Antonace you're talking about with your church. What do you think a lot of results going to be? You're going to see a lot of people start to hate that because it turns them off. They hate the phoniness. They hate and I want to clarify again, as people are watching, I'm not saying everybody. I'm not generalizing, because there was a lot of great people at that place, but there was a lot more of, I'd never seen anything like that before in my life to that level. And so I guess Mike Matthews, I'll let you, what do you think about what I was writing? Because like I said, we were there together, but I kind of understand a lot of what you're saying. Is Mike there? Hello?
This camera's like going a little bit slower, but I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there it goes.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Maybe bring him back out again. Hold on. Yeah, I'll bring him back in. I think he's got a connection. Maybe try another room or something. Get closer to but nah, man. I think all three of us have kind of been around that kind of same environment.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
But like I was saying, I think that really, like I said, I've seen a lot of people that have been in those type of places. And Mike and I were in a similar place for a while, and we're kind of around the same people. And man, it really turns a lot of people away. And a lot of them now are just they're openly atheists. They're openly anti-God. They're openly just away from all that. And so, Mike, we got you back up now. So I'll let you speak.
Great. You know, Joe, I knew you would relate to that a lot because, we were in that same environment. I was in it for a while. I started Christian school, kindergarten, eventually left in 10th grade. And, you know, a lot of the things I saw was not, I don't feel it's just so unchrist, it's just not Christ-like to the point where they're not Christians and things like that.
Right,
I
right, right.
understand everyone has their issues. Like it's just human nature. We
Absolutely.
all are sinners, like you said, we all fall short and things like that. So that's not what I mean by saying, oh, they're not Christians, I'm not a Christian, anything like that.
Right.
I do feel there was a lot of things that can be disguised as Christianity that are not. It is kind of like that blasphemy that you were talking about with you are acting this way, and it's almost like you're doing a disservice to everyone else that calls himself the same thing. You're actively turning people away from this simply because this is their representation of that. My representation of Christianity, all my life has been mostly positive, but that place has that totally changed that. That's not the reason I don't identify with Christianity anymore. It's simply because I believe in God. I pray to God every single night. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the Bible. I believe personally. There's not a religious belief that I have, only because I just don't agree with everything.
Right.
And like I said earlier on with pandering, it's a lot easier for me to say, oh, I'm not a Christian because I believe this, and I don't believe this, and I don't believe that, to kind of like get me some brownie points socially. It's not that. It's simply just because I just don't agree with everything. And there's certain things that I feel you need to agree with in order to align with a certain faith or a certain religion. I'm a very spiritual person. I don't mean that in the sense of like, astrology and like things like that, but spirituality in the sense of God and who God is to me in the relationship I have with God, and who God has allowed me to be to other people. So I'll continue to spread the word of God. I cannot continue to spread the word of any particular religion only because I don't align with that myself. So I'm doing a disservice to whatever religion that would be. I feel it's a bad idea for someone who is not truly something that they're trying to get. Like if I'm trying to get you in a club, like a group, and I'm not even in it myself, I just feel like there's a better way about doing things like that. You can go to somebody who truly can get you in. Just to restate a few of my points here, because I understand it could be taken completely different.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to clarify. I wasn't trying to put words in your mouth, and I was trying to clarify my statements because, I think we're kind of saying the same thing. And basically, what all I'm saying is, I think if you say you're a believer in Christ, we need to remind, as I am, and all three of us are. It's always good to remember that yes, it's good to correct certain behaviors, but also I correct myself. I correct, and I'll tell other people, hey man, that's some sinful stuff. Like you need to, hey, it might be good to keep going down that path from a loving perspective, like Christ did.
Right.
But we also shouldn't stay in that condemn state. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get turned away. Is it's just constant condemning, constant, and they try to make you. I in that time period, I felt like there was certain. I have certain memories that pop in my head right now. There were certain times where I felt like I was trying to be, because I was completely new to this place. I was like, Mike, you probably remember. I walked in there just completely new. I didn't know anybody really.
Yeah.
I knew some people, but you knew you were there before then. But I felt like there were certain. I don't want to say the place, but certain people in the place that really were trying to make me into somebody that I wasn't. It was either, hey,
Absolutely.
and it's like, you do this, like, what do you mean you don't do this? What, you do that? Like, really? We don't do that. I'm like, who cares, dude? Like, I'm me. Like, that's why Mike and I got along. That's why I get along. Both of you, I love both you guys are awesome because both you guys are real. And Antonace, you were at that. I know kind of your history with the car business. You were at some in certain places at certain times that they didn't accept you for who you are when you worked with my dad. I know all about that. And so we've all kind of been there. And so, but Mike, I'll let you clarify, and then Antonace, you finish it up.
Yeah. So basically, I feel like you said that perfectly. I personally had a lot of experiences at that place where I felt like I was almost being molded into this thing just to fit in, and just wasn't me. I love anybody who was able to be unapologetically themselves, even if that's something that I personally would not be a huge fan of. You being you is huge, because a lot of people are a little bit of them, a little bit of their parents, a little bit of, you know, this person, a little bit of their favorite celebrity, favorite
Right.
athlete, their favorite musician. They're just, you know, pieces of everyone. I feel
What they
like
look to
anybody
growing up.
who's, yeah, like your
Yeah.
role models. And unfortunately, some of our role models are just not great role models, that reflects in ourselves. But even in myself, uh, I definitely, am thankful for those moments, though, simply because they shaped me into the person I am today. Without those bad
Yeah.
experiences, I would have never been at this point in my life. It's a stage in my life, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything. It's something that I thank God for daily. Simply, I thank God that I was able to fail so many times,
Yeah.
because I would have never been able to succeed at anything if everything was just handed to me.
I'd second that too, because if I'd have never went through that experience, and not everything was bad, there was a lot of good, I'd have never met you. I've never
Right,
met some other
literally.
people. But when I left that place abruptly like that because of what was going on, it took me to a dark place for a long time. It took me a while to get out because I had a lot of personal things and things that happened long before that. But that literally just added more wood to the fire, I guess you could say, of just reigniting that fear, anxiety, panic. And so, but like you said, I'm glad you said that. A lot of times, God takes us through these places these incidents in our lives as trials to develop us. And that's something Tony really describes well. Tony really, to me, is great at showing you why God takes you down certain things, but it's also he's preparing you to see it from a strategic mental standpoint, how the enemy is going to attack you in all ways, how how the world will try to influence you, because the God of this world is the devil, and so Tony is really good at showing you strategically how to identify all these things and how to, we're all gonna stumble at some. We all stumble. We have setbacks, but how to bounce back from that through prayer, through what we're doing right now with talking to each other, just the word. And so, I guess Antonace, kind of what are your thoughts on what we're going with here? And
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, you obviously, like, especially what Mike was talking about with, you got to be yourself. And, like, also what you had just said, Joseph, like, yeah, God puts us through trials. He put one of my other favorite books in the Bible, Job, he put Job through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't do it directly. He lifted his protection off of him, and the devil sifted him like wheat, is what the book actually says. But and I said on our last podcast too, Joseph, I wasn't like Job. Like, I was bitter at God. I stumbled. I really wish I could have been that Job like person, but unfortunately that just wasn't the case for me at the time. But yeah, I wouldn't change it at all. Like I've said before, I met my fiance through that church. I met, you and your dad through, the car business, which had its ups and downs. But, I wouldn't change any of it. And I'm here now, opening a bar, in downtown Akron. That's exciting. Got to come check it out. I know you're not a drinker, but we'll have non-alcoholic options.
Oh, Mike lives in Akron. He's right down there. Plug the place real quick. Everybody knows what it is.
Daily Pressed. It's in downtown Akron, right across the street from the Akron Aero Stadium.
Okay.
Really?
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a perfect spot too.
Yeah, perfect spot. Right by campus.
Right, literally.
We're hyped.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like craft cocktails. It's gonna have like Italian sodas, like bunch of drinks, coffees, juices. But like the alcoholic drinks are gonna be like New Orleans gin fizzes, Sazeracs, like 1,000 different ways to do an old fashioned. Like I worked at speakeasies before, so I know how to make drinks look pretty.
I remember you
I'll
were
make
working
sure.
down there. I used to go by there all the time. It's right down the street from
Yeah,
there.
I tried to get your dad to come out. Their mom,
You know
your
he
mom
ain't
wanted
coming
to
out.
so
My
bad.
mom,
Your dad,
she saw you
your
a
dad
couple
was like,
times.
nah. He's like, I ain't going down there.
Yeah, he ain't going. But yeah,
I told him I'd do his Diet Coke up pretty. I'd put like a lime in it or something, set it on fire.
Oh man. But man, we've been going at this for about a little over 2 hours now. But
Yeah, I think I have to log off, gentlemen.
all right, well, Mike and I will close it out then. So I
sure,
appreciate
for
it,
sure.
Antonace. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Thank you for having me on, Mike. It was lovely talking to you and meeting you.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure,
But
sir.
you guys,
I'll see you.
you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you again, Joseph.
I appreciate it, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Well, I guess it's just you and I. So we'll
Yeah,
close
man.
out, though, man. We've been going at this for about 2 hours now. But yeah, man, we kind of went deep there. That's something I know you and I have been talking about behind the scenes for a long time. And that's something that I still think about that all the time, that experience. Because, like I said, it really helped mold. I wouldn't be where I am today. Right.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be doing this right now. And so I think the best thing we could do is to share like our testimonies, like we have, like that's why I created this platform, and just to bring other regular people on, like Mike, like you, like I got some other people I'm bringing on just to share their story and share my story. But I think that's what we need to do more of, is connectivity and just being real with each other.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I personally feel like this is a great platform. It's a judgment-free zone. It's a place where you're able to talk about real stuff, the things that are hard to talk about, and it's a place where it seems like it's a place I could get help. I'm always a huge fan of that. Like you said, certain things in my life, especially those past experiences that at the time, horrible. I don't know how I'm gonna make it out of this, but being able to have that hindsight now and really see all the good that came from that bad, it makes me so grateful for it. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because literally this conversation would never be happening.
Right. And I'm grateful for it too, because it gave me a different perspective on just how different everybody is in the world.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was at the same place, the same school for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came to that place, it was a culture shock for me. It was a lot different. It was similar in some ways, but it was a lot different. I wouldn't lie and say it wasn't almost a 180. And so, but through all that, it gave me a different perspective on just how different people are, and just that 1 year alone, because I didn't stay there the full 4 years, but just to see too how a lot of people that from that environment or similar environments, and kind of how, like you were saying, they learn from their parents, they learn from their authority figures growing up, and kind of a lot of those, I guess what I'm saying is authority figures, parents. That's kind of how they run their households too. A lot of times, it's a lot of running. And then when the kid gets older, and you and I have seen this with people we know, they get to college and they're out. They're completely different people now. They don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
They just leave home. They run away from home. Not saying going off and college and stuff is great. You grow, become a young adult. But man, I've seen a lot of people, and you probably seen a lot of the same people I know, or just more, that they completely abandon who they are, and they've completely, as soon as they got the chance to take off, they took off, and they never looked back. And now they're just completely different people, but they're also funneling with a lot of this fit in worldly stuff that's pulling them away from God.
It's tough because, fresh out of high school, I was 17 years old when I graduated. So at that point, I'm a very impressionable. I'm a sponge at that point. Literally anything that is around me, I would just absorb. And with college, first off, I would have never had this profession without the experience I had in my college classes and things like that. It was huge for my growth. But there's a certain point in college when you're no longer in class, and that's when things really start happening. It pains me to say how many people I've seen completely lose their morals, their values, their beliefs in anything, not just religion, not just God, just in everything. Normal human values, just respect, things like that. It's sad to see, but at the same time, everyone has to go through their battle.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that we're just not able to help with at that point. It's between them and God. When we both left that place, I felt without you reaching out to me, I would have no connection with anyone who was not at that place. So it's so important to be able to get away from something that obviously is not doing us any good, but at the same time, not still like I left that place, but I was still in contact with everyone there. It felt
Right.
like I was still there. I had to cut complete. Like I went radio silent there for a while.
I
I feel like
remember that.
you kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, I
It's kind
kind
of
of
like a
did. When I left there, because I was kind of just there was too much going on in my mind. I feel like I was embarrassed that summer. I feel like I was made out to be somebody that I wasn't. I was portrayed at an image that I wasn't. And so when I left, I just wanted to be gone with all that. But I still care. You were still one of my guys. A couple other people, uh, Justin, who we both know, was my
oh
guy.
God, I
Still
forgot
is,
about Justin.
still is my guy to this day. I love Justin. He's one of my best friends in life. And just, him and I were together since kindergarten. And so, but I try to stay in
Yeah.
contact with him. I met some new people there, like our dude Kelvin. I still haven't talked to Calvin in a long time. Calvin, if you're watching, shout out to you, bro. I miss you. Calvin was cool because Calvin was real.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Joe Morales was my guy. Patrick Kearney. Those type of guys. Both the Rowe brothers. I grew up with both of them, Alex and Chad. So John Huber. Those are, but a small list. But I don't want to name anybody out. But when like you said, when I left, I kind of went AWOL too for a while. A lot of people have. There's still a lot of people I haven't seen in 7 years. So,
Yeah.
I was
I'm not
hidden.
gonna lie to you.
I was hidden from everybody, even my childhood friends
Yeah.
growing up. Like nobody saw me for a long time.
There's some people that I have not seen in a long time, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Joe. I have no intentions of seeing them again. If it happens, it happens. But
Right.
I'm perfectly fine not being in contact. There's
Yeah.
certain people I feel you just need to leave where they're at, and that
Mhm.
was a very important time for me. There's certain people like you were there. We both realized this is a person that I want to take with me to a further part in life. There's
Mhm.
other people that we both know that we did not mention that are going to be left right there.
Right.
They do not serve any purpose or any good in our life past that point. I appreciate
Mhm.
them while they're there, but God has placed other people in my life. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think I'm a person in other people's lives that they're going to leave me at that time. There's people I've known since I was in diapers that I haven't talked to. That's all right. I was supposed to be there at that time.
Mhm.
Um, there's new seasons in life, and there's when you get to a certain point, like especially when you get older, you're able to hand pick who you want to be there during those seasons. Some people have to
Right.
make that hard decision with friends. Some people have to make that even harder decision with family
Mhm.
on who they're not going to take with them to this next season.
Yeah.
It's understanding who's good for you, who's bad for you, and embracing that. It's a hard thing to do, but when I tell you it'll take some of that worry, that pain, that I don't want to say anxiety, but like that nervous feeling that these are real issues that come from just being around the wrong people.
Mhm.
And that's something that I want to make sure I try my hardest later in my life, just to put myself around the right people. I
And
pray I just am not around wrong people.
and it's who you hang yourself around with. It's kind of who you become over time. Really, it's what you put energy into. It's what you get out. And so that's why
Absolutely.
I look at it as we're all like an energy field almost. We all have an energy. What do you put your points in? It's almost like I wake up each day. Okay, I got 20 energy points today.
Hmm.
A lot of times, people by 1 o'clock they've already used up 15 points, and by they're tired,
Absolutely.
they're drained. It's a cycle every day, and a lot of times it's who you put that relationships or maybe certain things. But I think a lot of who you surround yourself with, you're right. And so I think for a while for me it was hard to let go. It was hard not because of the people. It was hard to let go because there was so much pressure on me and going into there, and so much put into that. A lot of expectations were put on me,
Hmm.
and I didn't meet that. But so I think for a while I was kind of bitter, and I was kind of felt let down, but also just kind of disappointed I didn't get to do a lot of things I wanted to do that I planned on doing. But in turn, now it took me some time. But now, like you said, we wouldn't be sitting here right now having this conversation. You probably wouldn't be the producer of one of the bigger YouTube channels. I mean, what you're doing now is pretty significant. It wouldn't happen, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have people, messaging me or calling me and say, "Hey, man, you're really helping me. Like your show really helped me." I'm like, "Really?" And it's still kind of bizarre to me, and it's probably sure bizarre to you. You sitting in a nice house right now, you never thought this. Like 7 years ago, we were sitting at that table. None of you and I would have never thought this
ever.
When I mean the table, sitting at the lunch table, sitting in English class, we would have never in the hallways bullshit. We would have never imagined this
ever. And I think it's a saying my dad used to always say was, man plans while God laughs. I had a plan for my life. Like, I was gonna be. I'm talking about from as soon as I can remember my first thought. I'm gonna be in the NFL. I'm gonna be a quarterback. Right. I'm gonna my life was made.
I'm gonna have all this money. I'm gonna get any girl I want. I'm gonna have all these cars. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm talking Beyonce is gonna be like, "Hey, what are you doing today?"
What's up?
Then Rihanna tomorrow. Like it was this plan I had for my life. And as I got older, obviously the plans got smaller, but I still continue to plan. Something that I do now, and I would recommend everybody doing. Every single night when I pray, what I used to do was say, God, allow me to pass this test. God, allow me to, meet this girl. God, allow, this date to go well, this day to go well. When I go to sleep every single night, what I pray for is for God's will to be done. Because he obviously knows what he's doing. I don't. Because if I knew what I was doing, I would be, I wouldn't be talking about Baker on the Browns. I'd be on the Browns right now. If I knew if I followed my plan, Beyonce would be hitting me up. She hasn't hit me up. I must have missed that call or something.
She don't want some bake.
Right. She doesn't want the AMP producer. She has a billionaire husband or something. It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time. It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. From the moment I wake up, God is in control. So with that being said, every night before I go to sleep, I say, God, Lord, please let your will be done. And I understand everything that can come with that. Maybe God's will is for me to lose somebody very close to me. That'll hurt. But at the same time, I understand it's what he planned to happen. It will happen one day. Something good will come of that. God does not do bad. God is good.
All right. He'll always make a way.
Absolutely. He will make that way.
Yeah. And that's what happened with me. After 6 years, I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was quiet for 6 years. But now I got a mic. I got a camera. I could say whatever the hell I want.
Absolutely.
So I could say my truth. You could say your truth. And that's that. I don't have to carry that burden for 6 years that I carry for 6 years anymore. And that's what happened with me. And I'm sure maybe you similar in a lot of ways. A lot of people, Antonace talked about that with his past. You carry that burden. You carry other people's burdens. Just that they cast it on you. But now I don't have to carry that anymore. I just pray for God for forgiveness, like we talked about earlier in the show. What Tony was talking about, forgiving. You have to forgive. You have to move on. And there's two kinds of forgiveness: unilateral forgiveness, which Tony talks about, which is when you forgive in your heart, and then there's another real forgiveness, which is when somebody apologizes to you. But I think for me, that's something I had to get over for a while. Is listen, those people in the past that upset me. Number one, maybe they just didn't know what was going on with me. There just wasn't a lot of understanding. But whatever it is, I got to move on from that. I forgive them in my heart personally. Between me and God, I'm moving forward. I'm not going to carry that around again for another 6 years, right? And so, at least for me, that's kind of where I am, how I've started to grow and develop. Just forgiveness, but also you control your debt. I mean, you're really God has a plan for you, but it's up to you to get it. Go get it.
Absolutely. It's free will. It's up to you. He can say, oh no, you're supposed to be in the NFL, but if I don't ever show up to football practice, I'm not just going to magically appear there.
Right.
You
got to love the process too. It takes time. It takes patience.
Absolutely. Now, forgiveness is something else. For me, forgiveness is it's hard. It's hard. I'm not the one to hold grudges, but it's very hard for me to forget things. And it's very hard for me not to treat you differently after this memory has popped into my head. People have done me wrong in the past. It's the past. I've done people wrong in the past. It's the past. We've moved on. But in the present or in the future, when that same person comes up to me and puts themselves in a situation to do me wrong once again, it's very hard for me to truly trust. So that makes me question whether or not I truly have forgiven them. What I realize is just I do have that issue of I think it's a trust issue. It's simply not wanting to put myself in another position where this can happen again.
Oh, I've been there. I still go through that now.
Absolutely. I think about how many times God has forgiven me, even though He knew I wasn't going to stop doing that thing I'm asking for forgiveness for. And who am I to say I can't forgive, but I still expect others to forgive me. That's just not how that works. So it's something I've definitely been working on. Somebody today recently hit me up and they were saying, like, hey, all these nice things to me. I was like, hey, try again in a couple years. I'm just not there yet. I'm not fully ready yet. Like I still want to be mad at you in my head, but I'm really not. It's something that I'm definitely working through, but with time, I do feel I'll get there. Forgiveness is something that is just, it seems easy on paper, but when you have to put it into action, that's when you question whether or not you're truly a forgiving person.
Yeah, it takes time, and you gotta. I think through prayer, through scripture, you just kind of like the basis is the main topic of this thing with mourning souls. You got to develop yourself. You can't carry that burden around with you anymore. You have to work from within and start spiritually with anything in life. I mean, that's the most important thing is your spirit. And so, because this life's only temporary, this life is short compared to after, And so, but man, we made some. I appreciate you coming on, bro. We've gone at this for 2.5 hours now. I think we made some great points. You were awesome, and so it's good to talk to you again and
for sure
reconnect publicly now. Everybody, it's like our old, like I said, it's our old English table, our old English. We used to light that place up too.
Yeah.
I remember too, man. You would always that's one thing I loved about you is because at first you and I didn't really talk a lot at first when I was new there because we kind of say how you doing, but I didn't really know you until about, I don't know, maybe the end of the first semester or so. That's when we really started to get to know each other. And I remember what always stood out about you is you weren't afraid to say your opinion to a teacher, even respectfully, but you'd be like, hey man, you challenge a teacher. And I was like, yo, this dude here, I like him. He's different. I like this guy.
That got me in trouble. A lot.
I always thought you were pretty respectful about it. You always, one thing I noticed when you would talk, people would listen. And so, that says volumes because that means people really respect and listen to your opinion, what you're saying. And I did. And then, we started talking about, Akron and Cavs and all this other things. Now, and then we took off. But, man, I appreciate you coming on again. And any things you want to plug or anything you want to say before you leave?
No, really. I want to encourage anybody watching to continue to follow this platform. This is something that we need right now. I appreciate you even, welcoming me on this. This is something that in a few years we're going to be talking about. We're just going to be looking back on, and I'm just going to say, remember when I told you how big this might get? And look at you now. It's something that I'm just really excited to see the future of. Like I said, it's really needed right now, and I'm just happy I had the opportunity to be on this so early, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome anytime you want to come on for sure. So you're always welcome.
That.
And, we'll definitely have you back on for sure. We'll have to have you on as a guest. We'll really dive into some more things, whatever you want to talk about. And so, Yeah, man. So go check out his AMP YouTube on
Yeah.
everybody get him to 2 million. But Mike's the producer
you-
now, so all the
Yeah.
videos are by the man right here himself.
I appreciate it. But like I said, AMP is for me, but really let's focus on this platform right now. Let's stay right here.
No, I appreciate it, bro, for sure. And we'll definitely keep it going. And yeah, man, we'll have you back on in the future for sure. So I keep going now, but we got the game coming on and stuff. We've been going this for almost 2.5 hours, but it's all good. But no, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, let's talk to you soon, bro. We'll bring you back on.
Definitely. Thanks, man.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Salute to you. So yeah, man, there you go. Another 2.5 hours for you, but it was well worth it, man. It was an awesome conversation. Start off with Tony Evans with the video I shared. Then my man Antonace came up here and did what Mike always does, gives great insight of what he's thinking and just authentic perspective. I want to thank my good friend Mike Matthews for stopping by. Mike, like I said, was one of the realest people I know and met, and he really took that conversation to a whole nother level, and I appreciate it. And even got me to say some things I never really said yet publicly. You know, I kind of hinted at my first video I ever did where I talked about my past and some of the incidents I had, but I never really opened up about it, certain incidents like that today. So, but it's all good. Yeah, man, just keep it going, and appreciate all you guys watching. This will repost on YouTube, and this is on Facebook as well. So feel free to share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the next one comes out. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go out and enjoy my night. It's a beautiful night right now, and watch some basketball and chill out. So again, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'll talk to you guys later. Gone.